Hey, what's up, Hollow News family and ManVersations family? Look, I can't even do my regular intro because this ain't really my show only tonight. So we got to get it started. We got to get it cracking with my co-host for tonight, Mr. Anthony Malcolm. We like sharing the conversation. This is a Hollow News Can We Talk ManVersations 2020 collabo podcast, all the gumbo, all the things mixed in. What's up, Anthony?
What's going on, Queen? I appreciate it, man. I really, really appreciate it. It was so long overdue for us to do something like this, but timing is everything. I think I was in the best space for this now, and of course, everybody knows Hollow News is the number one platform right now when it comes to media and information. And I'm so proud of you and everything that you're doing, man. Keep it going, please. Keep it going.
Thank you. You know, we've been rocking for almost like 10 years now at this point. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, you always been a supporter and you come on Hollow News in the past with our panel discussions or just came on as a guest. So, you know, like you said, especially when I saw you had manversations and I love what you're doing over there. I was like, we got some synergy. Let's talk about some of this stuff together and combine our audience. So we're actually going live on my platform with Hollow News and the Manversations platform.
correct, correct. And in the future, I definitely want to do another one with my co-host, so you get to see the flavors of the other two brothers, the dope brothers that's on the show podcast as well. Their time kind of was tied up; they couldn't really come on, but we'll definitely make something happen in the future.
No, we definitely gotta do that, like, we gotta do the full shebang, and that'll be real, real cool. It could be and then honestly, the nature of owning your own shit is you could talk about anything, so really the conversation
Yeah,
could be whatever we want it to be.
correct.
But, y'all, we talking about the election, the primary
Mm.
election, the Florida primary, and all the good, the bad, the ugly, as you saw in the title, and y'all, Anthony, I don't even know where to begin because it was so much bullshit going on across South Florida. Um,
Well, let's
I'm
let's
just
start let's start with the beginning. Let's not get into the results yet. Let's start
okay.
pre-voting. Pre-voting, as you guys already know, that we had a lot of people that over the years have been telling us that we don't focus too much on the primary elections, being that the local municipalities and the local electors and commissioners and the judges and all that, we kind of overlook that and always pay attention to the bigger picture, which is the presidential election. That's what our
Mhm.
mindset was before. But we haven't conditioned ourselves to understand, like, listen, the presidential election, we know what it is, but your most impactful uh, legislation comes from in your city, in your district. That
Mhm.
70% of that affects your life at 70%. So if you have more of an impact on your local government has more of an impact on you, then why not focus more on that than the big election? I'm not saying that you don't participate in the big election, but the local election should be just as important or even more important than the big election. And I think that mentality, that narrative needs to be pushed out there.
No, definitely. And that's part of the reason why. Hey Tammy, what's up, boo? That's part of the reason why we said we wanted to do this. And part of the reason the work that we do just in general, from whether it's our social media posts or the things that we do with our media outlets, is a part of um that whole mindset of like being in control of your destiny, but understanding how these people, how policies and how it affects your lives, and just understanding more so like you said, how the local elections, like your street lights, your street, your taxes, affordable housing, like that stuff that's affecting you today. And the people that you elect in local elections are the ones that hold a key to that. And I just want people to get into the mindset too, Anthony, of like they work for you. So if they
Yeah.
don't do what you want them to do, you could hire their ass and fire their ass. Okay, like it's really just that simple.
And I think we also, and that's why I'm glad you brought that up. I was going to talk about that a little bit later because I thought that it wasn't going to be brought up, but I'm glad you made that point now so that the audience can hear this from the very rip. We have to do a better job as far as if you're looking for media, and that's why I love Hilo News, because Hilo gets down to the business. They're not biased. It's all about getting the information to the
You.
people, which we should be doing from the get go. So a lot of people don't understand that, when it comes to that part of it, we have to put the information out there so that it's accessible for the people. And by doing that, is that we have to make sure that we have a great relationship with a lot of these commissioners or any municipality person that's in seat, because what they do is having that relations. Now you get to have access to them, so that way you know what they're doing, what they can't do, who's the problem,
Mhm.
who's blocking things, and get those people that are the problem out of the office and put the people in that's doing the work. And I think a lot of times the confusion, and this is why we have such a low turnout, is because a lot of people don't understand. They see something, or they feel somebody's in the seat, but they don't know what they're doing. And because if they don't physically see something getting done that they want that person to do, they feel like that person isn't doing what they need to do. And a lot of times we're removing people that's really doing the work. And the people we think are doing the work, the ones that's out there kissing the babies and doing all that, is the ones that's
Mm.
really not doing the work and dragging their feet and just holding up space. And we leave them in office to go on for decades and decades, like we see the Clyborns and the Maxine Waters and all these people. We like, yo, come on, like, y'all not putting anything out there that's different what y'all been doing 30, 40 years ago. And we got to get in the position to get these people out and stop being with personalities. And that's one of the reasons why I have a shirt that says policies over personalities. So we got to
That
get more
part.
into policies versus the personality of the person. We got to get out of that. And that's why once we do that, we'll get more tangible things for our people.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And if you guys see me looking down, I'm like literally sharing it so that we could get as many people as possible on this live. So if y'all liking it, please like, share, comment, um, you know, so we can make
Subscribe.
sure. You're right.
subscribe.
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 I always
Subscribe.
forget.
Listen, and listen, my sister ain't gonna tell y'all, but I'm telling you, I'm so unapologetic, and I love my people. She knows sometimes I get a little militant with it, right?
I love
She's
it.
more strategic with it. She knows, that's the power of femininity, right? Femininity comes in and nurtures you and gets you right. Masculinity can be abrasive. But what I love about it is that you guys get the best of both worlds from her. So subscribe not only to all the high-low platforms, but make sure you're getting the newsletters. It's very important for you guys to get these newsletters and be in the habit of checking that. Because remember, we're in an age right now where we don't pick up a physical paper like our elders did. That's where they were getting all the
Mm,
information. When they told
yes.
you growing up, they told you, I tell people all this all the time. Our elders was warning us about television. When we were growing up, they tell us, tell lies vision. Get away from the TV, get to the
Mhm.
books or read some papers. But we are so into the television that we forget to get the real information from the great journalists, the editors, everybody that's doing what they need to do to put the information out there that's truthful. We're bypassing that and being entertained by propaganda, and that's what's really destroying us.
You better talk that talk. And thank you, Gerald. I know me and you battling right now, but thank you for tagging much. I'm about to text him right now and see if he want to hop on the line. I'm still thinking about having you come on because if you say some bullshit about Ashley Gant, we gonna be on here. Matter of fact, I don't got hot. I'm drinking my drink.
Gerald's my dude, and I get both sides of what y'all saying. I understand where y'all. Gerald is very passionate, and I get where both of y'all coming from. Um, I get it. I
Ooh,
get it. I'll leave
how
it like
about
that.
I wanna, you know what? I want us to really dig into that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, oh, we got a question. What's the best way to hold a politician accountable for what they promised? That's a good one. Okay, y'all coming in with the questions. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put this link in the thing. How you feel
So
about
the
it? We don't
best.
have to put them on right away, but if y'all feeling froggy, come on, let's do this like the hotline.
ask
Let's do it like the
ask
old
all the
school
questions.
radio.
Ask all the
Come in
questions in
real
life.
quick if you want to be on camera. You can ask your question real quick, get off the line. We could do it like radio too, but you if you
So
you want to take that first.
yeah, so what I want to say is, okay, this is the first part of that problem, right? And I want everybody that's listening and tuning in. I want you to practice this with your friends, right? And we're talking about everybody because most part people that outside that don't look like us, they're pretty much getting their policies passed, right? But I'm talking about people
Mhm,
that look like us. I want you to practice this with your friends. Go up to your friends, take 10 friends, right? Call up 10 friends, text 10 friends. If you're in a brunch with 10 friends, I want you to sit down at the table with the text or whatever, email, whatever you do to communicate with them. And you ask them, if you were president, right? Say if you were Kamala Harris, what policies would you put in place for your people? And
mm,
you'll be so shocked at how many people come back with multiple different things that they feel like should be policies for Black folks. And I think
mhm,
that confusion and not being on a unified front to have at least two or three policies that is universal to all Black folks, right? And
mhm,
that's the problem. So the thing about it is we can't really hold these politicians accountable because you have a group of people that say, well, I want this. And then you have another group of people that say, I want that. So then they have the excuse to say, listen, I can't fulfill all of these policies, but I'm trying. And that's where you get all this thing about I'm trying and I'm trying and I'm trying. And you get nothing done. And they give you this sweet lullaby in your left ear that sounds real good coming out your right ear. So, and another part of holding them accountable as well is like what I was saying earlier is trying to get in contact with some of your, not really the politicians themselves, but maybe you could get in contact with some of their aid and ask their aid if
mhm.
they can send you over some information of what they've been doing. If they have time or anything like that, they'll definitely do it. This is why I say we High Low News and myself, I have a platform, political platform coming out later on at the beginning of next year. And this is why it's important for us to be the bridge people to get that information to you. So that way you guys don't have to go the extra leg to go to these politicians or these aides because a lot of them will give you the runaround. But we encounter them all the time. We have great relationships with them. I know the Reggie Leon. I know Council Stevenson. I know Katrina Wilson. I know a lot of these people. So it's easy for me to go and get in contact and get the information and put it on the site or give it to Janae and let her put it out there for Hilo News. So that
That
way
part.
you guys can get the information without the hassle because we understand you guys have children, you have outside activities, you also have longer work days and less time for yourself. So you don't want to tackle on something else that might be another duck hunt, witch hunt, or journey just to figure out what you can do to get information that will protect you and your family. So those are a couple of things that you could do to hold your politician accountable. And once you find that correct information, then you say to yourself, does all the good things overweigh some of the things that they're not getting done? And if they have a lot of good and they didn't get a little bit done, then you could work with that. But you can't have somebody sitting in office and they're not getting anything done, but have a long list of what needs to be done for the people. We got to get those people out. Those are time wasted people. And we've been wasting time over and over and over, and we're not getting anywhere. And this, like I say, comes back to the frustration of why people don't come out in droves like that to vote because they feel like it's a waste.
No, definitely. I'm glad. I agree totally with everything you said. And I'm looking for the question again. Shout out to Tonsis who's upstairs. Thank you, but that's a great question. And something else that I want to add on to it is like understanding credible news sources is also a part of it. And like you said, um, to piggyback on what Anthony was saying about like going to news sources because they have the time. It's like this is literally what I do all day. I'm reading news, like this is my job, this is my passion. And so we literally take like some of the legwork off of you from doing the reporting, I mean, or the research yourself. So that's why going to trusted news sources and even checking what they're doing. can be helpful. But even if you, like you said, if you're tapped out, you say you're a single mom or you've been working all day,
Hmm.
if you found somebody to be credible, a news source to be credible, I would say just be intentional about going in, like even what Anthony was saying about like getting newsletters and things like that. Go to people who can get you the information that you need. But also too, I think we gotta kind of get out of this waiting for Superman too. Like we gotta act. Like
Hmm.
it got like if you want to hold somebody accountable, like what our good girl from the Juice Define, Fatia Dosser, hey boo, in the comments, she said you gotta go to their office, you gotta gather with like-minded people, but like by going to the office, like go to the office of elected officials, hold the office. All these people that got elected yesterday,
Hmm.
go get a meeting with them. Ask them
Hmm.
whether you voted for them or not. They still represent you. So I don't like when people try to make you feel like you can't come to them because you ain't vote for them, or maybe you advocated for somebody else. They still represent you. Go have a meeting with them. Go to meetings. Go, to government meetings, council meetings, county meetings, school board meetings. Those things work. Get a live stream to Tallahassee, or and seeing what's going on with at the Capitol. Like you have to be a little bit more proactive. We have to take our destiny into our hands. I can't wait on somebody else, all the time to do something for me. And at the very least, getting a trusted news source is like the easiest thing that you could do. And also to making sure you use your voice and through your vote. And so that's another way to hold somebody accountable. Say you had wanted a street change, or somebody was campaigning on it, you went to council meetings, you're like, hey, what's up, and they never got that street change and they represent you. Sorry, Jojo, I'm gonna vote you out. Councilman Jojo, you out of here, because I can't do what I need to do. And it's really as simple as that. Like we have representative government for that reason. And granted,
Correct.
people aren't perfect. They're not gonna get it right all the time. They can't be everything to everybody, but there are basic things and core things that are fair, that if they're not doing that, then like Anthony said, they got to get up out of here. And it has to be policy over personality. Also too, that's something else to like hold your politicians accountable. Make sure that they're not just talk service. Like a lot of
Mm.
people are good preachers and they're good motivational speakers, but you see no change in your community. That's how you hold them accountable. Yeah, I know what you said, Councilman Jojo, but haven't seen anything. I haven't seen any action. So questioning people, we don't just have to sit and take whatever people say, like we can actually question them and have, healthy dialogue about the type of community and type of future and policies that we want to see. So that's something that you could do as well if you want to hold a politician accountable. But I would say the first step, so if you want to go that extra mile, all these people that just got represented or reelected or elected in your area, see what happens if you try to get a meeting with them. Tell them, I want to
Correct.
know what happens if you try to get a meeting with them, and start there, and just tell them at the basic thing what you need as a resident from them.
Correct. Great information. When you have these people sitting in for 4 years, you guys should not be waiting all the way to election season to figure out what's going on. You should be having the
Mm,
quarterly sit downs. And also, like, that's one thing that I say that we as media have to do a better job with. Maybe we could get a quarterly, meeting or update for you guys on a quarterly basis. Maybe it might be every 6 months, depending on how often that they're able to make these moves and adjustments. And then when they do make something that goes through that you guys like, it's our job to put it out there and promote it and show you that these people are doing what they're doing in a timely manner. So it's just a combination of a lot of things. It takes media, and it also takes the participation of the people as well. So just don't depend on us, but also do the work, and we'll try to do our best to make it easier for you.
no, that part, and also support local Black-owned media, local independent media, because we we can do those things. Like I would love to do so much more in-depth reporting, but it's just
Mm.
only so much funding and resources
Yes.
that we have to be able to do that. Like I was really happy we were able to do the report that we did on amendment. I can't remember if it's 4 or 3, but the one with legalizing marijuana in the state of Florida. We did
Oh,
a
yes.
full report on how that's
Nice.
going to affect Black people
Mm.
economically and in the criminal justice system. And we also dropped the report on which county level candidates, how much money they spent with Black owned media and marketing or ad agencies. And we did that so you guys could understand the money. If it was up to me, every fucking race that was up for election would have been we would have been able to deep dive into what they spent on advertising and marketing if it was with black owned media, and we would have show also too in comparison what they spent with mainstream media and how much they raised overall, because I wanted to give y'all perspective. Somebody raising $3 million but only spending $500 black owned media. Yeah, you spent it with black owned media, but what type of impact was that? Did you really
Correct.
care about really reaching the black community?
Correct, correct. And a lot of times we work backwards like that because even in the rap game, shout out to all my boys that's been in the rap game, and they were telling me like, yeah, I'll go out here and spend all this money with these radio stations, right? But then you got local online radio stations, you got the underground radio stations, people that will spin you at all time of day, and you just giving them to them free, and you thinking that they supposed to just do you the favor and you good with that. But then when you go to the big radio station, you paying 3,500. Now you paying 3,500 to the big radio station, and guess what? They're playing your stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning. Who's listening to you at 3 o'clock in the morning? So
Mhm.
be very intentional about how you want to maneuver. If you feel like you need more things done for your community, invest in the people that's really going to get you out there, that's really going to be making sure that your voice is heard with a megaphone. And that's what High Low News does. Because let me tell you something, the type of report she does, you can't go to the Miami Herald or all these other platforms and get the type of stuff that she does. You can't even, they won't even look at you if you're not even somebody that's worth putting in the papers. So understand that type, that you have power in your hands, invest in it. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, when you invest in it, it's going to come back and hit you 10 times more of potent that you guys can really take to the next level. So y'all, sometimes y'all have these, and it's so sad to see. A lot of times y'all have a lot of great stuff in front of y'all and y'all don't invest in it. And then when it's gone, then y'all
Mhm.
begging for it. Because guess what? That's the same thing that happened about the black banks, right? We had a bunch of black banks in Broward, all up this stuff. Then they took all that away and then they gave you the one black bank all the way down there 79th. And then you had all these celebrities come making sure that we trying to, do our good deed with the black bank. And with One United, and then all of a sudden you get a lot of people be like, man, I can't drive all the way down here.
Mhm.
But when you had the black banks up here, you wasn't utilizing them. And then when they took it away, now it's an inconvenience for you to support your own people, your own thing that's really going to give you the loans that a lot of these people are in the news for discriminating against you for. So make sure you take advantage of all the opportunity and the resources that's geared to you, and make sure you're funding them the right way. So from this day forward, I want to see some big checks go to Hilo News.
Come from your mouth to God's ears. Come on now. Let's manifest that. Come on now. Look, I got my girl backstage from Miami Gardens, and I think that's a
Nice.
really good segue for us. First of all, thank you so much for saying what you said about High
Oh,
Low News. And
anytime.
I feel the same exact way about ManVersations and all your projects. So y'all gotta support both of us. Y'all see what his name on there. Go subscribe, go like we gotta support a local black owned media who are doing this type of content. But we have Tammy backstage. She's from Miami Gardens. She's a resident. She's gonna come on real quick. And I think that's a perfect way for us to talk about some of those races in Miami Gardens that happened, because we had some interesting things going on there. So Tammy, I'm about to bring you on. Hey Tammy, you ready? You
Hey,
need a second? Oh, you good?
no, I'm gonna talk to you. Can I talk to y'all like this?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
like the chat line. It's like the chat line. I'm gonna take this off my head so the people can see us.
Okay. How y'all doing?
How
All
you
right,
doing?
so
I'm good.
I'm gonna get
What you
into
want
this
to say
real
about
quick.
this?
I'm
Okay.
gonna get into this real quick because I want to go back to the DNC, right? But
I forgot about that.
I had to come on. I'm gonna support you. So,
Thank
as you
you.
mentioned, I am a Miami Gardens resident. But before I go get into that, I want to say, thank you for always keeping us in the know, right? Thank you for all you. And I'm not just saying that because but thank you
It's
because
my
you
girl,
always,
y'all.
she always, you always keeping us in the know. If I need to know something real quick, I'm getting it, and I'm gonna grab it and go. Right. So I want to say, going back to that accountability piece,
Mm,
I believe the people in Miami Gardens did just that
mm,
Mm,
during this primary election, right? There were people, I ain't calling no names, I don't need to. Y'all see the results, right? However, there were people that were being very nasty, very rude to people, that were just not pleasant. It didn't represent the Miami Gardens Council in even 2000, right?
mm,
Well, not
mm,
2000. Let's take it back 3 years ago. It wasn't representing those, and so for the community to vote in new and fresh faces, right?
mm,
And just as you mentioned, this is the time now to, hey, let's put these new people. You got an issue that you had an issue before. Don't take it out on the new people. Just go and schedule a meeting with them, and then let's put their feet to the fire, right? Like, we
mhm.
have to hold these people accountable, because we hire and we fire them. If you on bullshit, get it. You got to go.
mm.
You got to go. Right.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
even I'm not in Broward, but even speaking to Broward, because I saw this on Hello News, right?
Mm,
Um, Halston, that interview you did with that whole session you did
Oh,
with Brian,
Austin, Tori Austin, or
the people ain't want him. He was braggadocious, cocky, arrogant, name dropping. Nobody cares about that. People want to know that you care about them as a resident, a constituent, and they want to know that you care about their issues.
yeah,
mm,
we asked him straight up policy questions and he did
And
not
he
answer.
never answered them. He told y'all to go and see, go look. Nobody, who the hell want to go look? If my grandma was still alive at 90 something years old, where the hell is she gonna go? She not going on the internet. She won't tell the people what they need to know. And he did not answer any of those questions. Well, there you have it. The people spoke.
mm.
Okay.
Tori Austin was not reelected, guys.
He definitely was not. Well,
In
that's
the
all
school
I got.
board. Wait,
I
I
ain't got,
wanna you
huh?
don't
Go
wanna
ahead.
how you feel about some of the re-elections and new elections? Like some of the you got the two new people you got Dr. Michelle Powell and you got Katrina Baskin. How you feel about those new people representing you on the Miami Gardens Council?
Well, they're not in my district. However, I have, because it's my city, I still research and read up on them. I think they seem to be fairly decent. And I think they're going to bring a breath of fresh air to the community.
Mm,
Mm.
So ask me in about 8 months.
mm,
I'm gonna give you your chance, right? I'm gonna give you a chance, and then I'm gonna be like, hold on now, what y'all doing?
We need to do progress reports. That's actually something that I want to do with Hilo News. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, resources, people. I'm putting it out there in the atmosphere so y'all know what I'm trying to do. I would love to do quarterly, not quarterly, yearly progress reports, especially for people who
Mm,
represent majority black communities in South Florida, and just
mm,
say that we create a rubric of like
mm-hmm.
affordable housing, crime, lowering crime, investing in black businesses or local businesses. And I'll even work with the audience to figure out what we want
Right.
to see from them, and then look and see, grade them on what it is that they've done, and
Mm-hmm.
so that people could see yearly. Hey, this progress report came out on the city of
mm,
Lauderdale Lakes or Miami Gardens or
Right.
Okalaka. This is what their elected officials have done based on the things that we know that we want as a community. Because for the most part, and I've traveled across the country, the issues that black people want, there are nuances depending on location, but for the most part of South
It's
Florida,
the
we all
same.
want pretty much the same things
Mm-hmm.
from our elected
Yeah.
officials. And so we could come up with something together. And Hello News family, y'all stay on me if y'all want that. That's something that I'll work towards. But that's definitely what we need to do because I think that also helps people as well. Because like you were saying, I can remember if it was you, Tammy, or Anthony, you guys were like, we shouldn't wait until election time to figure out who people
Exactly.
are. But I think something like
Exactly.
that can help the average person be like, oh, Hello News is putting out a progress report. Let me go read this to see
Hmm.
what this person did all year.
And to that, right? You mentioned learning about people. Why are people wanting to run for position, a seat, but we only see them or hear about them in the summer right before election? I mean, what? We had
You
that for mayor for Miami
mhm,
Gardens. I've
Mm.
seen that for a couple of other seats. Well, Rodney is reelected, right?
mhm,
Because who are you? We don't know you.
correct.
Don't come to
Mm.
Tony's Pizza and have a mixer and talking about you want to be the next mayor. No, hell no. We don't know you. We ain't seen you. We ain't seen you in the last 4 years, and now you coming back talking about you want to be the mayor.
Correct.
Child.
And I'm glad you made that great point, Tammy, because then you can see the intentions of the people that's coming in. You know, people
Exactly.
people that's really doing the work, you don't need to figure out if they're going to do the work because you see them all the time. You know, some of
Right.
Mhm.
our great people that's in the seat now have been doing the work. I can tell you right now, Katrina been doing the work before she even got in the seat. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So you got people out here that's been doing the work. So once you find out who's doing the work and who isn't, it's easy for you to say, nah, you don't get in this. We got to start gatekeeping people that want to come
Exactly.
in for the accolades or to really boost up their name for their outside business or their main business because a lot of
Mm-hmm.
is really cloud chasing, you know. So we got it's for real. And I'm like I say, I'm a very militant guy, and I don't play with my people. You know,
Yeah.
I'm the kind of guy that has the village mentality. I look out for all the kids in our community. I make sure that the young adults get mentored and things like that in the right direction. I don't play about my people, so I don't want people to come in and play with my peoples. It's very offensive.
Exactly.
So
Mhm.
even when I tell people, and I don't know, this is just a gem that you guys might want to take, but this is something that stuck to me for a long time. And this is a practice that I do. I don't take pictures with people unless I know you do the work. Like
Mm.
a lot
Mm.
of times the
That part.
people will know how powerful you are and take pictures with you. I had a white lady that said she wanted to take pictures. She said, I heard about you. She said, I would love to take a picture with you. I said, are you the John Brown type? She said, who's John Brown? I said, then you're not the person that I want to take a picture
Mm, mm, mm.
Wait, who's John Brown?
with. John Brown, shout out to all my Haitians out there, you know what I'm saying? 1804. So John Brown was the white abolitionist that was out there killing the slave masters, hanging them and
Mhm.
doing the same thing in alliance with Toussaint, Dessalines, and Bookman. So he was the white
Mm.
guy that was like, shoot, I'm with them, man. Y'all doing some
Yeah.
evil stuff, and I'm gonna go and do and help them out. So if you want to
He was an
be a
ally before we knew the term ally.
Right.
correct, exactly. So if
Exactly.
you want to be an ally and you want to run like that, then I'm all with you. But don't say you're an ally and then end up being the Jim Jones that take me into the island and go give me some Kool-Aid and we don't all wake up. You feel me?
Hmm.
So we be
Mm.
very, very mindful about who we take pictures with or who we hang around with or who we rub shoulders with. So that's just a gem from me to y'all. All right.
I
No,
like that. I'm
that
gonna
is
put that in
I
my
love
pocket.
that. I'm gonna be saying, are you the Jim Brown?
John
John
Brown.
Brown? John
John.
Brown?
Yeah. You either the John Brown type or the Jim Jones type. Let me know which one you is, so I know how to
Right.
move.
You said Jim Jones like balling? Jim Jones?
No, the white Jim Jones that was in a priest outfit that went around all the black people and got them to the island and gave them that deadly Kool-Aid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be very mindful.
Yes.
Thank you, Tammy. Anything else you want to get to people about Miami Gardens?
No, child. Y'all speak up. Like, and if you ain't vote, I don't want to hear shit.
Don't complain.
Because
Okay.
listen, No, for real, because just looking at the precinct numbers that came in, we
Yeah.
are a city of 133,000 people. Where the hell? Where y'all at?
Mhm.
We don't know what a people they said voter turnout was very low for this
Yes, and
primary
it's
election.
horrible. And then you complain and say, "Oh, I don't have the resources." Or, "Oh, my food stamps got cut. My WIC ain't coming on. The roads messed up. The light ain't working." But you are not voting. So how do you expect to have a voice? And also, I saw Fatia say earlier, get the people together and go to the meetings. I
Mhm.
vowed to myself that I was going to start going to our council meetings, not virtually, but in person.
Mhm.
That's what the people need. Like, we need to show our faces. We have to.
And
And
I
let
Right.
and
them know that
and
we ain't
virtually is
playing. We
still
not
an
here for the
option
play
too.
play. Huh?
Yeah, virtually, I want to tell people too, like definitely go when you can. Try to go at
Right.
least once a quarter if you can, but but when you can't, watch it because now
Yeah,
technology, you can stay in the know and you can still hold somebody accountable. You be like, I was watching the council meeting. I'm
exactly.
calling you. What's up with this? So please know there's technology has made some things the great equalizer for us.
Yeah.
Man, Tammy, thank you so much for hopping on, guys. We got the link in the comments. If
You
anybody else
welcome.
feeling bold, let me know what's going on with the DNC. Who talking tonight?
I will. I got to go. Oh, sorry. Oh, Jesus. Um, Bill on right now, girl. Stevie Wonder was on just a little bit ago. I got to go. I got to go watch Uncle Bill, girl. I got to go.
The
I'll
DNC,
talk to
man.
y'all. It was a pleasure.
Thank
Hey,
you,
you
boo.
too, Queen.
Enjoy it.
Have a
Thank
good
you
one.
for
Thank
always
you.
coming through and supporting. Man, look, the
Definitely.
link is in the comments. If anybody feeling like they want to get in a hot seat, get it off your chest. We doing it like the hotline tonight. Come through and let us know what you want to talk about.
and
Um,
and what she said, just to add on, what she said is
mhm,
very important because when you look at even past elections, a lot of the people that we should have kept in office actually lost by a very small um,
mm,
amount of people. So when you think about it, you can also lose somebody out of seat by not voting them and making sure they're reelected back in office. And once you lose that person out of seat, sometimes it's hard to get them back in it because you have money that's being put behind to get people to stay out of these seats that's doing things for us in the right direction. So just keep that in mind when you're voting. You're also helping to keep somebody in the seat that is doing good work as well.
that part. And a non-vote is a vote. It's just a vote for the other person. Um, and so Anthony, because you're like one of my Broward brothers who I tap into to know what's going on in Broward, or I look on your page and see something going on. Were there any races in Broward County that we should have been paying attention to? Like, let us know some of those that like I guess that will be impactful. We need to keep an eye on.
Well, the ones that I was really worried about, and I have my eyes on, is the Lauderdale Lakes, seat number one. Shout out to a phenomenal sister, Anika Umfroy, man, one of the most pioneer women out there. Let me tell you something. I've worked with her for years, man, and she gets it done, and she gets it done right. So definitely, if you guys are voting in the Lauderdale Lakes, make sure you're voting Anika Umfroy for seat one. Lauderdale Lakes really are have a great commission seat. I think they're going to get a lot of things done out there. So I'm looking very forward and excited about that as well. So definitely make sure you guys are staying on top of that, man. Because let me tell you something. I'm a yeah, I'm not that far away, and trust me when I tell you that it's some great things coming if she gets in that seat, man. For our people, and like I tell you, I don't vote. I don't vouch for nobody that's not doing real work. Like if they're doing real work, I go 10 times hard for them. So she's one of those people. Once she gets in that seat, you're going to see a lot of shift of great things happening for the people of Broward County.
And I think I know Anika from a show or media or something back in the day. We connected on, and she was real cool. And I remember, I think she used to be a state representative, correct?
Oh yeah, state representative, man. Man, I got
Yeah.
stories on that, man. That's why I say when I tell you That's why I say I understand both sides of what both y'all are saying, because the same things that Bush got accused for is something that a lot of Democrats could be accused for. But what we have to be mindful, because sometimes a lot, okay, when you really break it down, black people are conservative. We got to get that in our head. There's a lot of views, and a lot of us are also into the church, right? We're
Mhm.
religious. We have morals from that. So sometimes people might not vote in something in one area because of how they raised or how they see things in a different light based on their religious beliefs. Because you have a lot of women that are for abortion, and you have a lot of women that are against abortion. I cannot sit back and condemn somebody that is not going along with the abortion if they're a Christian, because Christians believe in life. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of times people get condemned for that because of, if you're not riding with the majority of the people, then you're looked at as an op. And I think that is something that we have to get the mind frame out. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what, you have your views on that, and they have their views on that. But I'm not going to discard you for something that you did in that nature, because think about it, right? If abortions was like that back in the slavery days, imagine Harriet Tubman being aborted.
Mm.
How would our lives look right now if Harriet Tubman was aborted? You get what I'm saying? So we got to understand, like, whatever side you choose is your choice. You get what I'm saying? But don't condemn somebody because they don't align up with a side that you feel they should align up with. That's just my whole thing. But as far as what she gets done and everything like that, she does a phenomenal job. She's there for the people. She gets the money for the people. Brought back the most money you could bring back for your community. I saw you gave props to Ashley Gant, Miss Gant, bringing back 800K, which is that's a good amount, man. Shout out to her for bringing 800K back to the community. My state rep ended up bringing 4 million back to the community. So, when you
Mm.
look at it, you got to understand what people are doing out here. And from, the point of views of other people might not align, or have a group of people that might go against certain people for disliking and not even knowing that person. That's fine, but just don't take somebody out of a seat that is really doing the real work out there. So if you're doing the real work, I can vouch for you, and that's one person that I know for a fact that really is doing the work.
Did she bring 4 million back in 1 year?
I don't know what the collective year was, but I think it was 4 million back um, in her total time of being there. If I'm not mistaken, 4 million. I know it was in a million. I'm not sure if it was two or four, but I believe it was four
Oh, but
million.
it wasn't like 1 year she brought back $4 million. That's what I was asking. Not like
I, I don't
the collective.
I don't know if it was 1 year. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm not. I didn't really break it down to that. When I saw it was 4 million she brought back for the community, I was like, golly, that's a lot. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to her for doing what she needed to do, for bringing back for her district and the people that she needed to bring that money back for.
Well, what was the tea? Because the thing I didn't even know about her connection to, I guess, any Republicans or Ron DeSantis or whoever was in power. The thing that I saw, I think her opponent was saying that she just wasn't present. What's up, Munch? You already got the link. You already know what to do.
Mhm,
But they said that she wasn't. She had low attendance in Tallahassee. And so I guess the argument was like, how is she actually doing work if she's not here? And so I don't know if that's fact or not, or whatever. Like I never really did a lot of digging. That was just some of the messaging or the articles or whatever that came out about her at the time. And
mhm,
so you're saying like similar to James Bush, that one of the criticisms of Bush, yeah, he was bringing back money, but he was also aligning with policy that was detrimental to the black community. So I'm almost like, where's the line when you I do think we need Democratic or progressive or whoever. I think we need politicians, no matter what side of the aisle you sit on, to be able to work and get stuff done. Because at the end of the day, just
Mhm.
standing on stuff and just being, trying to be the next Crocker or whoever else or AOC, that's cool. But are you really bringing stuff back to the district? But I also feel like don't bring it back. Don't bring back $4 million, but that mean we don't have Black History books no more. Like, did you say like you get what I'm saying? Like, so
Yeah,
I
but
would
she
love,
doesn't. Yeah,
and not
not to
saying that
cut
she
you off.
did that,
She
but I'm
doesn't.
just saying, like,
Yeah,
how like some of those policies that, because there's a give and take when you're
yeah,
up there. So I'm like,
yeah.
what policies did you vote on? Were they detrimental to the community, to the Black community,
No,
or so
no.
that you could get that money back? And I think that was a part of the criticism of James Bush. Is like, yeah, he was bringing money back, but he was also supporting um different policies that weren't, the best for people that look like me and you.
Yeah, no, a lot of the things that there was just a lot of things she signed off with was pretty much on the Democratic side. It was just a few little things that really didn't affect our community. She didn't sign off for the books to destroy history. She's never on that level. Like I said, it's just something that is religious or moral levels that she would sign off for. Like as far as, like I said before, with the abortion thing, on the thing she had pro-choice, which is you can't really knock a woman for that. You know what I'm saying? So things like when you don't
People were
align with the
mad because she was pro-choice? Eh
correct, because what you got to understand is, and this is why I say it's very important for people to analyze and not jump off of what you see or what you hear, because a lot of times when you look at it, people are going to not understand how you choose something. But like I say, based on how you were raised and whatever like that, and with the Democratic Party, and this is something that people have to understand, with the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, the majority of the party, what they're designed to do is you either run with us. If you select something outside of what we selected, you are, they call you a traitor or you're pro this, right? Even with the Republicans, you have some Republicans that side with the Democrats, and then their party, they're looking at them as traitors. And I think when we sit back and we condemn those people for doing that, we also are doing injustice to ourselves, because you don't want to create this me versus them, because now it becomes okay, party versus policy. You get what I'm saying? So it takes the focus off the policy and puts it back on the party members, as far as Republicans and Democrats. You have to work with whoever you need to work with to get stuff back for your community. Just like there's some Republicans that if you line up with some Republicans, there's some Republicans that vote a lot of things for the Black community. But because we have this disdain for Republicans, we think that all Republicans are racist or don't have needs for Black folks. And that's far from the truth, because you're talking to somebody that's been around a lot of Republicans are um, that are on the side of giving you what you need. And I always refer back to even the monumental sit down from Dr. King, getting the civil rights movement from one of the most notorious presidents of all time. Y'all people say that Trump is the worst president. That's far from the truth. Because I can go to Andrew Jackson, I could go to Lyndon B. Johnson, and I could go through so many other presidents that make him look like child's play. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
He sat down with Lyndon B. Johnson, who is the actual activator of the COINTEL program, which got Fred Hampton killed, which got Malcolm X killed. This is the guy who came up with this program. So for me to sit for Malcolm X, Martin Luther King to sit down in front of this guy and ask him for the civil rights bill and get it passed, we as Black folks should not be afraid to go to the opposition and get what we need to get. And that's why I say a lot of times I get on people today when they say they're not their ancestors. You're right. You're not your ancestors, because your ancestors went through a lot and they gained a lot. We don't have that same courage, because, like I tell you, like I can ask you right now, and I want you to be honest. Do you think in this modern time that we're living in, that they could have a successful Montgomery bus boycott in this time versus that time?
No.
Why you feel that way?
Because there is no centralization of leadership. And so we're so disjointed. Um Also too, like you said, they were willing to get what they needed to done to work with the politicians. It wasn't that they weren't like, okay, he's a Republican at that time. And here's the thing: everybody was against black people, so it was like we just got to go to the person who gonna rock with us. So there's also too that dynamic in place. And I also think too, I think we had a more educated voter as well. I think we had people who understood the process a little bit more because they were being denied the process. And I think that we lack the leadership within our black organizations, like a um I hate to call a name, but I'm gonna just call whatever, like a NAACP, SELC, the SNCC, all those people. Those were collaborations of organizations who came together and that also tapped into the black church because that's what everybody was going to. So there's haven't been a replacement of the black church where you could disseminate information to a bunch of black people. We have social media, but they're not the elders ain't totally using that the way they need to. So there's a lot of things that were in place for them to be able to get a centralized messaging and plan to people in a way that was very effectful and impactful. I think we can do it again. I just think we lacked the leadership that was there at that time. And I also think too that there was there was like one or two things to really hyper focus on. Right now, like you said, you may talk to one black person, it's like my only main thing is business, and the other person may be like, well, my only main thing is childcare and education. And it's like at that time, nobody had the right to vote. There was like one thing affecting us, or everybody was being affected by segregation. So to ask like for one thing and say, hey, we need y'all to get rid of this, or we all need voting rights. It was the one thing that was affecting everything. Now we have middle class and upper middle class, rich black people. They may not have the economic struggles as somebody in the hood, and their policies and the way they vote may not align. But at that time, whether you was rich or poor as a black person, you couldn't vote. Like so it was like, you get what I'm saying? So there were certain nuances of that time that made it possible for them to do what they needed to do. But I still think that because we lack their leadership, even though we have like different levels of or different things that black people have interest in now, I still think there are core things that we all have problems with when it comes to police brutality, when it comes to small business development and just certain policies. I think reparations, like we all can agree that we want certain things. I think that we lack the leadership in being able to get those done. And so, no, I don't think the bus boycott will work today.
And you already know, I know for a fact it ain't gonna work today because one thing that is missing from our ancestors that we have not reinstated in ourselves, and that's a code of conduct. We don't have a code of conduct like our ancestors had. They had a code of conduct where they understood who was the priority, which was us first, and everything else was secondary. Also, that code of conduct is also brings you a village mentality. We don't have a
Mhm.
village mentality now. So it's like you see a child that's being out of control, you like, that's not my child. I don't have no partake in that. She got to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? And that's sad because when that child dies, say that child ends up getting killed or murdered, now you want people to march for your child. Okay, fine. So now you're asking for the same person to march for you that you avoided correcting their child, or you didn't have nothing you wanted to do for their child. So it's like, I'm not going to march with you. But guess what? If I say I don't march with you and then I go out a week later and my child died, now I'm asking the same woman that I didn't march with to come march and fight for justice for me. So the code of conduct has to be added back in order for our community to get back in on one page and to be strong and unified again. Also, with that code of conduct, we have children running around here just shooting at any and anybody. Back in the days, it was like, hey, you don't pull out your gun around no women, no children, no elders. If you don't catch that person one on one, then you let it ride until you are able to meet that person again. Now they just shooting at everybody, and innocent people are getting killed. There's no code of conduct. So once we get
Mhm.
that code of conduct back, then you'll start to see a shift in the dynamics of the people. And also, the last part, code of conduct, also gels together with the community is a lot of what they call that again? Uh, oh gosh, what you when you patronize with your people, what they call that again?
Recycling of dollar or oh my
What's the
gosh.
name?
It's
God, I had a brain freeze. Y'all help us out, people. Group economics. So you're
yeah.
practicing group economics, right? So that is a powerful part of it because our money is now circulated into our own community and it's being
Mhm.
replenished and strengthening our community as well. We had also with black businesses, we had a lot of black businesses and back in the day that also was a very structural financial figure for our politicians as well. We have a
Yeah.
lot of black businesses now, but you ask them how much money are you putting behind a campaign? A lot of them aren't putting no money behind a campaign. Matter of fact, they're putting that money into Gucci, Louis, and I had a problem with that. I said a lot of y'all rock Gucci, Louis, and all this others brands. And do you know y'all sitting here talking about Trump all day, and y'all getting mad about Trump, and y'all telling we got to vote Trump out of office, but all that money you going to Gucci and these top designers, guess where their money going? Their money going in the Trump campaign. It ain't going. It ain't
Mhm.
going in towards the black folks. So you're using your money to patronize in a community and people that's taking the money to weaponize against you. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's crazy to me. So that's why I said that also is a code of conduct. And I land my plane on that.
I think it's a combination of all of what we said. And speaking of black businesses, I'm gonna give her a shout out because she's here watching us live. The Juice to Find in Opalaka, founded by
I love
Fatia
her.
Dosta. Y'all make sure y'all go over there. Every
I
time
love her.
I'm in Miami, back home, I go and get me my green juice. Oh my gosh, what is it? It's a Fatia. Put the this. It's one of the juices I love. Oh gosh, it's the mean green I think, and it's a yellow juice that has the chia seeds in it. But
Mm.
definitely, I'm putting up her logo and the name of her business right there because we on there. We talk about black owned businesses. We might as well shout out a black owned business who was there,
And
and
she
she's
does a
definitely
lot.
supported. She
Yes.
supports local
Yes.
communities.
She
She's
does
doing
a lot.
events. She's invested in high low news in the
She
past and doing media buys. Like she's a great example of
I love
She's
her.
just she's a great example
I love her.
of doing that, of investing in the community. It's called Mean Green. Don't be like
Yes,
that.
I love her.
What
She's
I
phenomenal.
said? What I call my what I said?
you
Green
said
juice? I thought I said
you
mean
said
green.
you said pineapple under the sea. Ain't that like SpongeBob or something?
It's pineapple under the sea.
I love her. I
True. That
work
is what
close.
it is. I love that.
I work close with an organization for a good while now. I end up getting that organization one of the largest funding they got. And I remember they asked for vendors to come out, and they was like, do you have any ideas of some vendors we would love out here for the sickle cell community? And I was like, man, you got to get Juice to Find out here. They was like, oh, well, that's the vice president's cousin. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So now
Really?
that just gave you confirmation. And Juice to Find came out there, gave the juices, man. The children and the adults love it. I drove down and shout out to Munch because Munch was the one who put me on to Juice to Find. And I drove down there and I went and got some great drinks from out of there. And it put me in the mindset of like, when we look at Jada Kiss, who's one of my favorite rappers, and they have their juice bar up there and everything. And I'm like, damn, it's so great if we had something like that. And then Munch was like, hey, man, you go down there. We got a juice thing down here. It's like, for real? So I went down there and I was so glad that we do have access to a phenomenal juice bar like that as well. So shout out to Juice to Find and keep continuing to do the great things and inspiring our community and being that great example, especially for our young children, to understand that black business, you could be a black owner and be out here popping and doing everything and doing things for the community. And we love it.
Yes. No, definitely, definitely. And just want to switch gears a little bit while we're talking about definitely uplifting black businesses, and glad we were able to do that for Tia. Girl, go chop this up and make it a commercial, girl. Put it on your page. But I want to talk about, some of the things that we saw, at the polls coming up, because you
Mm.
because you told me a little bit of the Broward drama. If you in the
Oh
North
yeah.
Dade area, the North Dade Library had it going on. People I made a post about it, and
Hmm.
people I was saying like y'all should be ashamed of yourself for how y'all acting at the polls. And I think that you know people don't understand, especially the candidates. That stuff is a turn
Hmm.
off. If I
Yeah.
drove by somewhere and it's a circus out there, I'm not gonna stop. If I got 3 kids in a car, I'm just, oh, I'm late. I'm running late for work. I wanted to do this, but it's a million of y'all out there harassing people. Like, that's a turn off. And in
Yes.
local elections, every vote counts. And so some of the reports that I got from South Dade, I think there was a fight or something down there every
Hmm.
day at North Dade. The police was being called out there. I heard Broward had some drama too, and I'm just like, why is it this deep for the local elections? Like, why? I think that's also a problem too with the culture of local elections as well, because people were telling me, some people behind the scenes or longtime elected officials were like, it's always out there. It's always like that out there. And I get it.
Mm.
Especially if you start playing dirty politics and y'all doing mailers about each other, or,
Mm.
text threads or email, whatever about the opponent, and y'all saying nasty stuff. Now y'all sitting at the same poll, it's going to be tension. But to me, I feel like that affects people wanting to be involved in the process. And I
Of
feel like
course.
at this point, it's so important and so critical for us to like make not put any more barriers for voting for people, that we don't need candidates out there tussling and fussing. And I heard 2 people was chest to chest poking each other. Two people. I ain't gonna even say the gender because it's gonna give it away to T. Matter of fact, Imma say I ain't gonna say who it was, but Imma say 2 men was out there face to face. I heard one of the men called another candidate a punk to his face. Like, it was, like, out there getting crazy. There's been video, and it's ironic, Councilwoman Linda Julian and, um, Karen Hunter Jackson, they had issues, and that was coming up on there's actually video of Karen showing Linda at her tent. She's like, you need to get from my tent. And the thing I didn't like about that video, it was heavily edited. So I'm like, I couldn't really figure out what happened. Like, you just see
Mm.
like these jump cuts, and I'm like, well, wait. She's standing there, she's saying I didn't do anything, but then you hear the other candidate saying, well, you did this and you did that, you did that. I'm like, well, what really happened? I can't just take your word for it, because on the other end of it, I'm hearing stuff from your side as well. So I've heard from both sides for that incident. And the only reason why I'm saying names publicly is because there's actually a public video out there about it. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on like all this drama at the early voting polls? And do you think that deters people from running to vote?
Oh, of course. I got a text August 12th at 5 o'clock that said they almost turned my car over trying to solicit. This is what a single mother texts me.
I
They
shouldn't
almost
be laughing, and it's partially the wine, but it's just so ridiculous that, and I believe her. I believe her.
another text came in. These people were so far in my car with the flyer that they should have just rolled up there with me. It's really bad, man. I've been getting texts, man. There's so much text I could read to you on air. It's really getting bad. And I know, shout out to Arthur, man, such a dope dude. And he was right. When you look at
I
the people,
love his comment, Arthur.
yeah, when you look at the people that they're hiring, but it also goes to, this is why you guys have to put money into the candidates' pockets as well, because if they're not getting, a lot of these candidates, we have a lot of great candidates that don't get funded the right way. And if they
Mhm.
don't have, let's say they have a campaign amount of money. Let's say it's $300-400, and I'm just being uh, lowballing real bad. But let's say they have $300-400 to work with, right? What quality person can you really hire for that little money to go out there to campaign for you? To be honest with you, you're gonna have enough money for, and I'm not trying to be funny, but you're gonna have enough money to hire crackheads or people that act like
Oh
crackheads.
my God, I'm so glad you said it.
You get what I'm
I'm
saying?
so glad
So
you said it.
so you gotta understand that it is both sides to it. I get it, but the quality of people that you're gonna get for that funding, you're not gonna get the professional, astute person. You're gonna get people out there that's gonna work for that money, because the people that's working for that money, they really need that money. The people that has some sense in them, they're not gonna be out there working for that little bit of money. And no shade to anybody that's out there working for the money. We need you, but at the same time, just make sure that you're being professional with it. And one thing I always tell young children, like young adults, right? Teenagers, I always tell them, like, listen, no matter what job you get, do that job to the best of your ability, because you never know who is watching. You could be out there passing out flyers and end up meeting somebody taking your flyer that has their own company. They might have 25 franchises. And they said, in their head, they're like, you know what? This young person right here, I think I could use them in one of my establishments. Maybe I might make them an area manager for my businesses. So, and I say that because that happened to me multiple times. I've had people say, hey, I've been watching you for a while. Every time I come up here, and man, I would love to, whatever they paying you, I'll pay you double to come work for me. It
Mm.
never fails. So I only tell people that based on what happened to me, and I'm not sugarcoating anything. Even my stepchild at the time, they end up using that advice and end up landing themselves a manager position. So you just never know who's watching you in whatever spaces you're in. Conduct yourself as if you're in a room full of people that can make and shape for you in the long runs. And I'll land my plane on that.
I mean, and honestly, I'm trying to say this without getting canceled before I even get started in my career. Because what I'm gonna say, black people, I'm gonna sound a little elitist, and by all means, I love everybody. But let's just be real. Like Arthur to this comment, I left this up for for a reason. It is the caliber of people that you're hiring, and so if I'm a if I'm a crackhead, y'all, can I be real? Can I talk to y'all like we can I talk?
Yeah.
Can I talk for real? If I'm a recovering drug addict, or if I'm currently on drugs, or no offense to our returning citizens, because not everybody fits this uh persona, but a lot of people do. If I'm recently out of jail and I've just came from that aggressive area, of lifestyle, because that energy, you bringing it to the polls. And so a video that I was sent was two women cussing each other out. They were talking about your business was this FUB, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, what this got to do with the policy? And I hate to say it, but if you're a certain person who hasn't gone through and done the work, as Sister Ayala have said, because I'm not gonna act like I'm above, like I've never had moments where I don't show my ass and did some craziness, but I've grown past that, and I pay my therapist a lot of money to help me not go and do craziness. So I feel like this: if you're a person who is on the first level of Maslow hierarchy of needs, if you
Mm,
still are struggling and it's about the grind and the thing, or if you haven't gone through certain life experiences to know that you shouldn't have conflict resolution in that way. If I'm there, you for candidate A, I'm from candidate B, and we brush each other. Oh no, B, you need to get back. You need to get the back. That's it. This ain't your side. You get a lot of that energy that we have in the hoods that are plaguing our hoods. And so they literally bring that energy to the voting polls. And
of course.
so by the time like I like by the end of it, I heard that it wasn't as bad like on that Sunday, but like
Mhm,
the early days of early voting for this year, especially, and speaking specifically of North Day Regional Library because of that's the reports and videos and pictures that I was getting. Like early on, when you got the police being called, you got people chest to chest going at each other. There was literally what's the mobile billboard about one of the campaign workers saying, "Oh, she is she is a criminal and she a thief and she that," and then she coming back at them, "FUB, whatever." Like, so they're literally bringing all of that. I'll call it crackhead energy to
mhm.
the polls, and
Correct.
people then also too, they're bringing that aggressive, like you said. It's not like, I don't know what type of training they give their campaign workers, but
Mhm,
what type of customer service is it for you to almost flip over a single mother's car? What type of, like, one of my friends mom told me that she came into the parking lot at North Day Library. She said they dang near jumped on her car. Like,
mhm.
what is going on when people are being harassed just to do their civic duty? Like,
Yeah.
we as a, and also too, as a candidate, I'm gonna call y'all out for this. If you
Mm,
ain't checking the people that's doing this and representing you, you part of the problem too. Because I can
mm,
promise you, if you told that person, "Hey, you're not getting paid for today," or "That's not how we rocking," yeah, let them do what they do. Like, so there, you're not even being a good leader. That says a
mm,
lot about you if you're allowing your campaign workers to act crazy like that. And
mm.
it definitely was the same thing in Little Havana in their communities as well. So this is not just a black thing.
Correct.
This is
Correct.
just an early voting thing because, like you
Correct.
said, it's a thing of, like you said, if it's little pay, unfortunately, like the people who are in those circumstances, the
Mhm.
lower income, not have a lot of job opportunity, they're going to take
Correct.
it. But
Correct.
unfortunately, maybe there's not a training program, or they're not listening, or they don't care about what you're saying. I'm gonna take this $8 an hour and I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. And unfortunately, it's making a hostile situation when it comes to the voting, um early voting polls. And I could promise you, y'all, anybody who shoved something in my hands, I've heard people were snatching, like, there will be one candidate giving something out, the opponent was snatching it out. "Don't take that. Get this." Do you know how offensive that is to snatch something out somebody's hand?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I could promise y'all y'all are messing up the process as well. And candidates, I blame y'all. If somebody got your shirt on, somebody got your flyer, and you letting them act crazy like that, you part of the problem too, and you need to be checked and called out.
Correct. I totally agree with you on that 100%. We also have to realize that um, as Black folks, we haven't been getting what we needed to get. So every election, we're getting more frustrated. And when we're getting more
Mhm.
frustrated, they also giving us candidates to fire us up and fuel us towards being emotional. So you have like Trump, and then you have Kamala. It's already has set a precedence of that atmosphere to be in an emotional state. So you got people out here that you just tell them who you're voting for, and they're like, "Oh, fuck that! Oh, I'm ready to
Mhm.
kill you." And it's really bad. And I've seen it. I've seen it coming to this point, and that's why I made a post. I'm not sure if you've seen it on my social media, and I said, "Hey, if you can do early voting because it's very emotional out here, and I want you guys to be safe because when emotions rises, fights happen and something goes all the way left, and sometimes it might go too left to where somebody's not here anymore, and I've seen that happen. So I
At the
like to
voting polls, you seen somebody get
I've heard,
uh
I've heard situations like that in different states. So
mm,
it get because what happens is your emotions is rolling up, and egos come in with the emotions. Nobody's backing down, and then it goes from fighting to disrespecting, and somebody taking out a weapon and ending the next person's life because nobody wants to be the bigger person to say, "Yo, you know what? I see you, my brother," or "I see you, my sister." Like I said, it go back to where we don't have the code of conduct to control ourselves to see each one as distant cousins. We don't do that anymore. Everything is about rivals and how I see you. And at that moment, it's either you or me. And we got to get away from that. And we got to stop letting these people put batteries in our back to get us on this emotional rise when we're out here trying to do our civic duty.
Definitely. And I would tell anybody, if you can, get your mail-in ballot, and you can avoid all that drama and chaos at the polls. It's very and what I love about it too, you're in the comfort of your home. It's almost like you're taking a open book test. So gives you time to research and read. I remember when I started doing my mail-in ballots, I think the first time I think it took me about 2 hours to do it. And I'm like reading everything and being very thorough. When I go to the polls, I don't want to be in there for 2 hours. I may be in there for maybe like 20, 30 minutes doing a little bit of quick research,
Mm,
and I'll also have a cheat code with me working in news, so I can do that. But for like people who want more time and don't want to feel rushed, get a mail-in ballot. And you can either
correct.
take it to the polls or mail it yourself. And I think that's a easy way to avoid a lot of that drama at the early voting polls. But of course, whatever you need to do, exercise your right to vote. But I'm really glad we had this conversation, and I hope it gets to the right people. And here's the thing: for the general election, y'all send Hollow News the video so we could post who out there acting a donkey. Because I feel like sometimes we need to bring a little bit of shame back. Because you know what? I feel like people think nobody's watching and they think it's this isolated, vacuumed incident. And I'm like, no, you were out there acting crazy. You about to fight. They need to see. Or somebody in your shirt and you, and you ain't doing this, you not checking them, you need to know. Okay. First
Yeah,
time hearing
shout
this.
out,
It's embarrassing.
shout out
But
to Major. That's my
Conversation.
other co-host on ManVersations. So shout out to Major.
Wait,
Uh,
Ricky Smiley was at the polls?
Ricky Smiley included. I, don't, I think he's just talking about people emotional,
Oh,
getting in
look,
their
we got the
feelings.
link.
Yeah.
MK, if you want to come on and talk your talk, we could do it. Um Problem is 1.2 million Democrat voters by mail. We're off the road because of the draconian rules of the government. So many don't even know they would not be getting their mail-in ballots. That part. A lot of people were
Mm,
purged from the voting roll. So you got to make sure you re-register to vote and re-get your mail-in ballot. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about some of these races that were decided yesterday. Were there any upsets? Were there any surprises for you? For me, I felt like it was pretty clear, like, what happened. It
every
wasn't really a lot of upsets for me. What about you?
No, everybody that I wanted in Miami Gardens to win pretty much won. Shout out to Linda. And like I told you before, Linda, she actually took what she did was take that program that was designated for another area and brought that remodeling, rebuilding for homeowners to Miami Gardens, which was huge. And so her, like I say, when you're out here working for the people, you can see things that they do that really are for the people. And for her doing that is so huge. And I know you reposted. She has a part two because it was so good the first time that she ended up having a part two, which I think is in August. That I think I seen your flyer
Yeah, it's
posted,
on
and
the
this is
27th or
correct. And this is why I tell people all the time to follow High Low News because you're getting the information. Because think about it, how many people could really use that, and if you're not getting that information, it could bypass you. And it's really free money, to be honest with you, because I think the conditions is that you can't sell that house for 18 years. But if you are looking to purchase or you have purchased a house, you want to leave that house to your family in a trust anyway. So it's going to be past the 18 years anyway. So you really don't have to pay back that money if you qualify for it. So, that was so huge because I know a lot of people personally that end up getting in the process of being qualified for this stuff in the houses in Miami Gardens. So Linda passed. I want to see the great things that Katrina is
well,
able to work.
let me can I address
Yes.
I mean, not Linda's, Tammy's question about Linda. She does have to go to a runoff. She got 48% of the vote. And so I think per the Miami Gardens charter, you have to get, I think, 50 or 51% of the vote in
Oh,
order to win outright. So pretty much looking at the numbers, I mean, anything can happen. Stranger things can happen. Karen Hunter
Right.
could probably work her ass off and get 51% in the the November election, but R- Linda to win, she's looking like the favorite, and the votes, it was clear. It wasn't even a close, even for number two. So she she had, I think, 6 or 5 people in her race. So really, even if it was one less person, she would have probably gotten those votes and won. So that is what's happening with her race. And then also too, yes, Fatia, the program is the MD program. It's the rehabilitation loan. They also have a first time home buyer program as well. But that loan, you can't use it for cosmetic stuff. But say, for example, your sink is messed up, or
Correct.
you have a leaky roof and those
Correct.
repairs get messed up. And I think it's up to fifty thousand
Correct.
dollars that you could get. Like he said,
Correct.
free money. The only caveat is you have to stay in your home for 18 years,
Correct.
or you have to remain the owner, or that has to be your homestead for
Yeah.
18
Correct.
years.
Correct. Correct.
But yeah, so you could buy another property, but
Yeah. The minute
yeah,
you
you
sell
got
that, you gotta pay back that loan. So if you're
yeah, yeah,
sitting on
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So yes, it's a really great program, and I'm so glad that she was able to bring that. So yeah,
And we
that's dope.
actually have video on it if anybody wants to look on Hello News website to find it quickly. Like if you want to search MD home rehab loan, we have it on YouTube. So we actually interviewed them to talk about it. As so if you want more details, but of course you could go to MD's website. But yeah, Linda, here's the thing, because I got my Broward person on the phone. w- How you feel about Joe Scott and this, what's his name, and Gregory Tony? How you feel about them?
Well, I really wasn't paying attention to. I really wasn't paying attention to them, man. They got some Broward County sheriffs. I will agree that I haven't had or seen anything going on with Broward sheriff's police department in any scandal or mix up lately. I don't know if I'm being naive to the situation or anything like that, but I remember when they were under the previous leadership, man, they was in the news beating people, kicking people, doing all type of crazy stuff. So I'm not sure. It looked like Sheriff Tony got things under control. So him being reelected, I don't see. I didn't see it as a big shock that he didn't get
Mhm.
reelected.
That's what's up.
That he
I
did
mean,
get reelected.
I don't hear a lot of like, you know, bad stuff about him, but I don't know. I also too, I tune into like the top line stuff, like you said, when he came in, he came in and did a lot of work, but I don't know like the nitty gritty. So I more so was trying to see like, do you got any tea on him that we need to know about? Like,
No,
if you wasn't following it, it's good. We actually got Major Gaj
oh yeah,
in the backstage.
that's
Is
my
that your coworker? I
yeah,
mean,
that's
not
my
coworker,
co-host.
co-host.
Yeah, that's my co-host.
Okay,
But I do
but
want to
that's
say, I do want to say with Tony, like like Tammy said, I didn't hear anything bad. He did pretty much what he was supposed to do. But I think a great part of that was he got embarrassed when he first got in, and I think when he got embarrassed when he first got in, he knew he had to clean his face up real quick. So
you talk
sometimes,
about you talk about that swinger club stuff.
oh no, I was talking about him being under pressure because when they had to
Oh,
transition over and they still had cops out there doing things, and then they said, "Hey, how come you not disciplining that cop?" And he's like, "Well, he was trying to ride the fence a little, but he ended up disciplining the cop." And then ever since then, we haven't heard a sound out of it, any scandal out of the police department. So I guess because he got his ass chewed for that, he's been running the ship for what I've seen pretty much steady.
yeah, I haven't heard anybody, and honestly, like I said, this wasn't like a huge upset. You're right, Tamila. The personal stuff has nothing to do with policy. I'm a person who will vote for Andrew Gillum 100 times over with his booty and penis out at that hotel room. I don't care. I think he's still the best person for the job. So I'm being shady and messy about Gregory Tony with his swinger the news that came out about that. Like it was some pictures came out about him and his wife at a swinger club, but it was him and his wife. So it's like whatever. Like you Bible people, y'all say the marriage, the marriage bedroom is undefined. So whatever they choose to do is what they want to do. But I thought you meant that when you said like in, some of the issues that came out. But like I mean, Keon Hardeman kicked Audrey's butt. Somebody said L'Oreal. He thought L'Oreal would have did done better. That was a state representative seat. Aristide. I think he's a former principal. He won, but he has a lot of name recognition. A lot of people got forget name recognition, and
Hey,
somebody who's in
hey,
education
hey,
they know a lot of people. They got
hey,
generations. They got the kids, the mama and the grandma, the auntie, the uncle. You got a whole
hey.
family that knows you when you in education, which is why I think that's part of not part, but the success of somebody like a Dr. Gallen out of Miami. You know, being an educator for 20 years. Now your students could vote for you and their mama and their grandma. Like, so you got
Yeah.
three generations of people. So I think sometimes people underestimate name recognition.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
people, yeah, because and not saying that that's what L'Oreal did, but I wasn't surprised when I saw Aristide won because a lot of people know that name.
I knew he was gonna win. That name is too powerful not to win. I knew he was gonna win that seat. That's why I said there was nothing that shocked me. There was
Hmm.
no seat that shocked me because everybody that I thought was gonna win ended up winning. So
Here's the thing, the Dale Holdness guy, and you remember that we were talking offline about my episode that I did with Brian Johnson, and he was supposed to be here with us tonight, but he couldn't get on. I would have loved to see both have y'all. So we got to do. He said he want to come
uh,
on sometime next week, so I'm gonna see if that works for everybody's schedule. But he was talking about this guy Jeff Holness, but he was saying the Moms for Liberty candidates and some of them being supported or put up by that organization and Moms for Liberty. Go back and watch our live with me and Brian Johnson. He was
mhm.
the thing about Moms for Liberty is their connection to Project 2025, and they're one of the people. Oh, my dog don't jump.
It's all
Month.
good.
And tell you, I don't know if MK left. I don't know if you could text him, Anthony, but tell him like we was about to get to him. So if he want to come back,
Oh,
tell him
he'll come back. He probably fixing some stuff. He'll probably be back.
much,
What up?
much.
Yo,
What's up, yo?
Look,
what they do, boy? Good to see you, dog. I miss you on screen, man. You tripping?
Yeah, man,
I
I've
know.
been ducked off, working at
I
this
Like
food
see you.
pantry.
JC say, the streets need you.
Oh, we got Major Gosh back. Hey,
Major,
hey.
what's good?
What's happening?
Chilling.
Look,
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
Thank you for we just brought Munch on the screen and we were talking about candidates from Miami Dade. I don't know if your connection is more Dade or Broward, but while we talking about that, like we were on the subject of Dade candidates, Munch, I want to know what your thoughts were for some of those candidates, and Major will come to you too.
Wait, where you want to start at?
Mm.
I want to know your thoughts on this race with Keon and Audrey.
Oh, that was that was a crazy one, right? I don't necessarily live in that district, but I work in that district, so
Yeah.
Mm,
it was a lot of tension with that race. Um, I seen, I mean, it was only in that race 15. It came down to it was 15,000 total votes, right?
Mm.
There was what
wow.
like a 4,000. It was like 4,000 votes. It was that Keon won by, and I think majority of that was during the early vote.
Mm.
So I don't know. Like I've when I worked in the county, I worked in Edmonson's district. And we've had our relationship with the Hardemans in general, right?
Mm.
And just Keon, has supported Roots and other things that we've done.
Mm.
So it's one of those things like you kind of like in the middle, like I don't know, but like you want
So
to
hold
stay
on.
out of it.
Before you go on, I want to say this. Would if it's a tally on the line, does the other side, the other person, do you guys hold weight with them as well?
What you mean? Say it again.
Um, Keon versus who was the other person again?
Edmondson.
Yeah,
Edmondson. So you
Audrey
guys,
Edmondson.
so
Yeah,
you have a great relationship with Edmondson as well, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so it really, to you, you still benefit with the community on both sides, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So but it's a lot. You know, I'm trying to put this the easiest way I could put it, but um, it's a lot of what I don't like about black politics in general is that we kind of like choose a side, and
Yeah.
it's very
Mm.
cliquish. It's like if you
Yeah.
voted for me, I'm gonna take care of you, and you know what I'm saying. But I ain't gonna
Mhm.
take care of nobody else that ain't vote for me. You know what I mean? It,
Correct.
it seems very cliquish. I'm not saying that's the way it is, but it seems that way a lot of times. And yeah, that race, it came down to, like, we talked about this with Virginia Key, Janae, when we talked about, like, hey, the board was there for how many years? When I
Mhm.
look at Liberty City, you look at a lot of things that happened in over the last, since I've been home. You know what I mean? Like, Keon's only been there,
Mhm.
what, 2, 3 years out of that time, right?
Yeah, that's his first term.
Like, in the county, the rest of that time was Audrey Edmondson. You know what I mean? And so, not to say that she was just inactive, but those are the bigger questions. Is like nothing had like what was happening for young people when you was in office. What was, and I think that's what plagued her a lot, was like her old run. Even though, like, she did do a lot of good things for the community, always pretty much tried to be on the side of the people, always had access to her office. I know many times I would go into her office. Um, and that was some of the complaints. Like, a lot of things they were saying, like, they didn't have access to Keon, some, stuff like that. But it's, that was a tough race. I'll say that, to say the least. Another race
I
that, go ahead.
the thing with that one I wanted to add is like it was like you said that, and also too, I think personally some people didn't like Edmondson, and they would say like just personally knowing her, she wasn't approachable either. So like
Yeah,
I
I think,
personally found it ironic that her hit at Keon was people can't reach you, people can't do this or whatever. And I was like, well, the thing that people have said about you is that you're nasty, you have an attitude, or you're not, you're kind of cold, you kind of stay in office, you kind of have, like you said, your clique.
Mhm.
And when it comes to like these seats, y'all don't own these and y'all work for the community.
Mhm.
So the very least you could do is be friendly with a bitch that comes say hi to you. You get what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, and I seen those debates. They were brutal.
Mm.
Those
I
debates.
hosted her for.
Yeah, I know the one you hosted, and the night before, the one you hosted was bad. You know what I mean? Like, it was they was throwing shade at each other, like, from the get go. Like,
Mm.
Keon called
It
us
was like an
slumlords.
episode of
Like,
Housewives.
yeah, it was crazy. But I think the community suffers, right? At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I look at Liberty City, I look at Overtown, like I said, 15,000 votes.
Mm.
Just think about that.
Mm,
15,000 votes across the whole District 3.
Correct.
That's
That's
Edgewater. That's their side and our side. And it make you question how many of our people actually voted.
correct.
You know what I mean? And our
mm,
neighborhood changing. Our neighborhood is rapidly changing. So
Correct.
it's a lot of things that I don't want to, well, fuck it, I stir the pot, right? So
Yeah.
it's a couple things, right? I think there's a large community of people who are in the know who are inactive, right?
Mm.
And I got to point the finger
mm.
at the activists,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And my side, and folks I kind of deal with a lot, right?
Mm.
um because we try to stay neutral and stay out of it, and we can't afford to be in that position anymore,
Mhm.
right? We
Mm,
just genuinely can't. Like, we can't afford to be independent. Like, we
Mhm.
just can't. You can always switch sides from Democrat to Republican. We can play that game, but we can't afford to not do anything,
Mm.
or not have some type of influence in these elections. Like, we gonna have to at some point pick a side, get behind these people, and actually get stuff passed.
Correct.
Otherwise, we just sitting on the sidelines spectating and saying, "Hey, look at what they doing or what they not doing." You
Mhm.
know,
Correct.
and that's a lot from what I see. Like, I see, like, every year, and this is on everybody, we kind of focus on these other races like District 3, and we
Mm.
always like fall short on these judges. And what's more
Oh
Mm.
important?
my yes.
You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like, so the judges are really more important. Like we talk about on the larger scale of things, like with Trump, right? And
Mm.
it's like Trump been in the news media for 4 years because the 4 years while he was in office, he was stacking he was stacking the judges with the Supreme Court. You look at
Mm.
everybody
Mhm.
that got in. You look at
Mm.
all the rulings, everything they stalled. Every time they stalled it in his favor, it was because
Mm.
of all those judges he put in. You know
Mm.
what I mean?
Mm.
So we don't we kind of like we'll say Trump did this, these people did this, but it's like nah, it was chess not checkers. Like that's why it took them 4 years to get him on 32 felonies. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm.
Like
And that's a
he had the
great
judges,
point.
and then that's why he didn't get. I don't think it was a state. I mean, he got caught up in the state. What it was, the state of Georgia, right?
No, state
So
of
Yeah.
New York,
Georgia and New
right?
one
York.
of them states, but
Yeah.
that's why they had to go to the states. People don't understand it. They couldn't do it federally because he had all the Supreme Court judges. He already stacked those.
Mm.
Mhm.
So he had to go to the state. They had to try him on a state level. You feel me? And
Mm.
then once you understand precedent and how precedent is set, and then how the appeals work, you feel me? Based on that in the court system, he just understand the court system and how to maneuver. But they tried him on a state level because they couldn't try him on the federal level.
Mm.
And
That's a
so
great
these
point.
are some of the conversations I would like us to have in the future. And like we gotta start looking at, and this is just me rambling, but I think
No,
a
you
lot
make
of times
You're making valid points.
yeah, you're making valid
Mhm.
points.
Making very valid points.
organizations, I've always been in Janae, you've heard me plenty of times, and I know Aunt, you've heard me speak on this plenty of times, but like
Mm.
we have to do a better job of talking to one another. Like
Correct.
one organization that does get out to vote, right, needs
Yeah.
to connect with another organization that may be a small pack that we have that could
Yeah.
push out
Mhm.
information. Because what's happening is already in the media landscape, this is on social media, this is on Facebook, YouTube, right?
Yeah.
There's already the algorithm is the algorithm favors misinformation. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
repetitive. It's based on what you already like. So if you go down the rabbit hole of the Illuminati, next thing you know, you get a whole bunch of videos of the Illuminati. That's just how the algorithm works.
Mhm.
So if you attach yourself to misinformation unknowingly, knowingly or unknowingly, it's just gonna feed you that same perspective. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to start figuring out ways to combat that, and with facts. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
a lot of things that is like hearsay, and it's not like really the real factual. Like, hey, we know Trump stacked judges. That's why I always say I don't speak on nothing else Trump did, whether it was PPP or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't speak to that, but I can speak to him and these judges though. I know
Yeah.
exactly what he did with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we and like you say, we get caught up on like feeling and emotions and whatnot. But and they've since over sensationalized politics in this country to where it's just like it's kind of like uh,
Mhm.
it's annoying at this point because you see Trump in the news cycle every day.
That part.
You feel me? And we get short chances. We not focusing on the real issues at hand.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like prime example, I serve the homeless population every day, right? The food
Mm-hmm.
pantry at Village Fridge.
Yeah.
Literally, I brought in an organization to engage with them to do make sure all of them had they was registered to vote. Because
Wow.
locally, what was happening, and we was trying to get them to involve. Like locally, what's happening is they can't sleep in public spaces or they can't be out in public spaces. They get arrested. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we made sure, like, they came to me one morning and was like, I heard I can only vote Republican. I said, who told you that? Then the next week I had people out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because we need to engage everybody. Those are votes. Like I got over 3,000 people in my database that we
Nice.
fed, right?
Nice.
We got over 3,000 people in that database. Not to say that 3,000 come a day, but
Yeah.
it's over 3,000. They could swing. They could have added to District 3. They could have added
Mhm.
to, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
15,000 votes. You know what I'm saying? That
Yeah.
could have added. And so, you know, um, we got to start thinking on the practical level. I think a lot of people don't move unless the money move. If that makes
Correct.
sense, like a lot of
Mm.
like the campaigns we know are based on who got the larger money most times.
Yeah.
Their mobility, they can get out, they can. Keon has so many signs. You every time I went anywhere in District 3 or I got in my car because I'm pretty much in the city all the time. I saw his poster 4 times.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who he like. You ask anybody who he was running against, they couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Mm.
They couldn't
He
tell you
drowned out.
because literally on every corner, in and out of the district, you had to see Keon posting.
Mm.
So to your point earlier, you were talking about name recognition. It was just like
Yeah.
brand recognition. Like he
Correct.
used it.
It's a
If you know
marketing
anything about
campaign.
Keon, he used the same flyer
Mm.
every time, the same picture, the same color, everything, the same branding from when he first started running.
Psychological.
Yeah, bro. Like and then like I said, our neighborhood changing. So how many people actually engaging Hispanic folk?
Correct.
Mm.
Because I think we like 60% Hispanic from when I was told.
Liberty
Mm.
City?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you see what I'm saying? So how are we engaging them? Like, and how are we fighting for things that we want, like in our neighborhoods? And I think a lot what's happening is our people don't even know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what I was saying earlier. Because I'm pretty sure if you go around people that's not really around us or our circle or anything like that, and you ask the average black person, if you were president, if you were Harris, if you were Trump, what would you put in play for black people if you got in the seat? And you're gonna find various answers for that. It's no 2 or 3 solid policies that every black folk said this is what we need. And I think that kind of is a major problem as well.
Yeah, it's a major problem,
Yeah.
but I think it takes people in leadership, right? That's
Yeah.
what we're calling on those folks in leadership to be like, all right, what are the 3 main things that could help everybody? Rising tide lifts all boats. Not
We
just
were talking about
the
that.
the
Yeah.
working the people the black professionals who may have it. Not just the working poor. Like, what's 3 things across the board that we can work on that helps everybody? Like measurable metrics. You know what I mean? Like we go to these town halls, there's never hardly ever any metrics. You know what I mean? Like we go to these there's studies done and then nobody uses the study to build any type of programming.
Correct.
Like you get what I'm saying? Like I'm just hitting on a practical level when it
Thank
comes
you. Thank you.
because it's blame to go around on everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's blame to go around on everybody, and even me, I get hard on myself around these times because I'm like, what am I doing? You know what I mean?
Correct.
Yeah. It,
But like I say, we rarely ever talk about like the practical thing. You know what I'm saying? Like finding out the
yeah.
real
You
issues. Like
didn't
a
you
lot of
didn't
these
walk behind me.
candidates run on blanket shit that they think they know
Take
what
it. See
the
back there.
problem is without even talking to these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. And I want to give Major Gaj just a chance to jump into the
Yeah, yeah.
conversation with us. Thank you for your patience. I want to know, like, I'm not sure if you're Brower facing or Dave facing. I want to know, like, what was your thoughts of the primary election, the results, like the whole process. Like, give us some of your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm Major Gage.
Mm, sorry.
And no, it's cool. And I didn't know that you were Janae. I thought it was Janie. So we all learning tonight. What's up? How
I
you
know we
doing?
just speaking tonight. We didn't get to do
Yeah.
our formal introduction. Okay,
Yeah,
Major.
we haven't spoken in a while. I haven't spoken to you since Felicia's event a while ago.
That's why I was like,
So
your face looks familiar, but I'm like, okay.
yeah. Good to see you again, though, sister. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the elections didn't really surprise me. Didn't really impress me one way or the other. Not too many candidates are really spoke to me, whatever the case may be. I think that the people really need to do a good job of articulating their interests so that the candidates know what it is to run on. You know what I'm saying? Like Ant just said, you know, if you ask the average black person, hey, what is it that we need? they can't tell you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we as a people, we don't really vote on issues. We vote on personalities. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Who do we like? Who is popular? You know, whatever the case may be. And we really, really got to start stepping our game up in terms of that, being more educated as far as, you know, who's running and on what policy, what platform, so forth and so on. Democrat, Republican shouldn't really matter. But I will say this: I am glad to see Black people. I know the number was small, as the brother Munch said. You know, overall, it's a pretty small number, but I am seeing Black people being more engaged in local elections. You know what I'm saying? Just the fact, yeah, it was a little ratchet, but the fact that there were so many Black people out there to be ratchet, you know what I'm saying, that were actually excited about an election, that were actually, you know, feel like they had some skin in the game in the election. That's
Or were
kind of a
they
first.
were they non-paid campaign workers?
There was some no, there was
Because
some
I'm like, they
campaign
was
workers
the
from
ones
what I hear.
rowdy.
From what I hear, the campaign workers, there were some rowdy ones, but there were people who they brought out as well.
Mhm.
You know, some of the campaign workers got some people to come out, and those people, from what I understand, you know, they were pretty enthused about their candidates. That's what's up, because we haven't been enthused about candidates in forever, since Hector was a pup. You dig? Like, we don't really get fascinated about candidates, you know, because we don't know the issue. So that's like a glimmer of hope to me. That's like, okay, some of us are starting to, I don't know if it's just because somebody cousin, you know, told him to come down and, you know, that's our guy or whatever, or because they really know the issues. But just to see us there was encouraging. But yeah, like you said, you know, the decorum, you know, that ain't it. You know, we gotta mature, we gotta grow up, you know, we gotta understand, you know, how to make our voices more heard and give these candidates some platforms to really run on. Like, you know, I think that more of us need to know, you know, what an empowerment zone is, you know, and when we ask for benefits, you know, to have them name us as a specific group, because far too often when they start talking about things they're going to do for Black folks, they're always talking about minorities and people of color and, you know, underserved groups. And what that is just a way for the white power structure to low key discriminate against us, because when they start talking about minorities and they lump us in with Latinos, with Asians, with LGBT white people, you know, a white woman is a minority, a gay white man is a minority. So those benefits that are supposed to go to us need to go to us, and we need to communicate to our candidates that that's what we're looking for. And if you want our vote, then that's what platform you should be running on. And none of us are doing that, because none of us have the level of, no, I can't say none of us, not enough of us have the level of sophistication to make those demands, if that makes sense.
No, it does, and here's the thing, and no hit to any other group, because I mean, if you're a minority in this country, you have issues with, the white power structure. But I'll say this: there isn't. I don't think non-black groups aren't going in and saying, "Will this policy also benefit black if I get this?" Like, they're in there fighting for themselves. And I'm like, I wish black people as a whole, and I wish our leaders and our organizations, that there was leadership, like you guys were saying, like those three issues that we could stand on. I wish that we were going in and being so unapologetic and
Mm.
bold, about it, where we're like, I don't give a F what they get. We voted you in. And here's the T, they owe us so much. Like, we've been giving our vote away for free for so long. Like, literally, we should be going in and saying, such and such, what you doing for us? We like, and
This is
I
my
want it
point.
now. Like, I'm
Mhm.
sick of us feeling like we have to just go along and get along and not ruffle the feathers, because if we do, we don't want it to be bad for this black person because they gotta get it. Like, that black person was elected to do a job.
Real
Yeah,
talk.
rough ruffle some feathers. Like,
And
stop
go
being
ahead.
scared. I'm sick of it.
Yes, and that's my point. Like, and like you said, no shade to any of the minority groups that are going and doing what they do. But I feel like I have to point it out specifically for Black people, because when there's a grant for the Latin Builders Association, as a black person, I can't go and access those funds. They specify other groups when they're talking to other groups. It's only us. When it's time to do something for us, it becomes something that they got to do for minorities. That's the problem that I have with it. It becomes, oh, we got to do something for people of color. Oh, we got to do something for underserved communities. And what happens is, by the time they finish distributing what's supposed to go to us, to all these other groups that are lumped in with minorities, there's nothing left for us. So that's the
Exactly.
relevance of that, why I'm saying that, because that's the trick bag that we always go for. And they do it to us because they know that many of us are not politically astute enough to understand that this is the trick bag. You know what I'm saying? Once they, put out, whatever, they put out the thing they're doing this for minorities, they know, we'll go down there. Shit, they don't even have to say that. They can
Hmm.
just put somebody who's black, on a campaign poster and, have them do something cool, and black folks will go out and support them, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? Without, like you said, without asking for any specifics. And they owe us big. You know what I'm saying? They owe us more than they owe any other group.
Huh.
We built this country. We have not been compensated. We have specific needs. It was despicable to me when Joe Biden got elected, and the first thing that he did was pass legislation to protect the lives of Asians. Not
Mm.
because I have a problem with anyone's life being protected, but because black people are the ones catching hell in this country, and black people are the ones who put his sorry ass in office. And he just spit in our face by just straight up ignoring us and passing legislation to protect the lives of Asians and not talking about what we need specifically. If you can do it for Asians, you can do it for black folks. But that we're still in a state of benign neglect.
Mm.
This goes back to the Nixon era, where, you just kind of ignore black folks and, let the chips fall where they may,
Mm.
and that's, that there's a memo that went out from the Democrats that, acknowledge what you're supposed to do when you come across black people who are asking for tangibles. You
Wow.
acknowledge what they're saying. You talk about, I understand where you're coming from and all that stuff. You give them that head nod that, all the white people like to give, and you do nothing. I mean, the memo literally says that. You know what I'm saying? So they know that they can pretty much get over on us, and that's why they continue to do so. And so, like, for me, in the last presidential election, I left the presidency blank because I didn't feel like either candidate deserved my vote. And I'm probably going to do the same this cycle. I'm still going to vote. I'll vote on taxes. I'll vote on ordinances. I'll vote on, things that apply to me, judgeships and things like that. But, as far as the presidency is concerned, yeah, and that's why I mentioned Ricky Smiley earlier, because, he got on the radio finger wagging at black folks, yelling and screaming at us, talk, oh, y'all stupid, y'all this and that. And that's not how you talk to somebody whose vote you want. You speak
Mm.
to their concerns. You dig? And they're not speaking to our concerns, and that's the issue.
No, definitely. I want to put this up here. Um, I want to get y'all thoughts on this because I feel like this is that W.E.B. Du Bois energy, and I'm with it. And
Glad you brought
Justify
that.
said, to be honest, only a select few are needed to draft those three things. And we were talking about like three things that the black community needs so that we could get behind and rally behind and petition the masses because most people don't know what they need and want. They just surviving. I agree with that. Do y'all agree with that
Hmm.
as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you have to understand that a lot of people, they don't really want to take up the leadership role, and some of them don't have time to take up a leadership role. They don't even have time to assess what's going on. They are not into the neighborhoods. They're not doing what a Munch is doing. They're not doing what a Janae is doing. So they really not hands on with the community to even formulate something, as something to do a draft or anything like that. So it's very important for people that like us to understand what's going on, to get with other people that understand what's going on, formulate that in a group setting, and then bring it out to the public. And just like you got the comp cards at the voting thing, you're gonna have that type of three topics, the three top things that Black folks need, posted on the High Low News site. So you could go there and you can either download it, print it out what you need, pass it to your friends and family. And now we on a unified front of knowing what we need to get. And a lot of times, a lot of the politicians, they also get nosy when a lot of us be chattering. They always watching us. They'll get nosy and start seeing what is there, and then have no choice to pick up the three as part of their talking points when they start seeing that we're really out here serious about policies being pushed in our favor for us to get tangible results. We got to get
Yep.
off of that symbolic shit. That twerking for votes, that's symbolic. Winning holidays, that's symbolic. You know, we got to get stuff that's going to be tangible, because at the end of the day, y'all
So
got to
you mean no more
understand this.
turkey giveaways and book bags?
At the end of the day, we have to understand that we have to protect and put things in place for the next generation. I've told people before, your grandfather and your grandma, they sacrificed to put your father and your mother in the position that they were in. And them being in a better position than their parents was able for your parents to put you in a better position than your parents, right? Now we have gotten to this luxury part where we're not out here doing what we need to do for the next generation, and we're dropping the ball. And that's a problem, because the next generation doesn't have a baton to pick up to run with, because we done threw the baton out there in the lake. So they're standing there wondering what they need to do, and we're not being the leaders that we need to be for the next generation so that they can build upon what we have established, i.e., why we're regressing more than our ancestors and losing everything that they gained when we're in an era where we should be gaining way more than what they gained.
Mm.
I also think that, we wasn't taught. I don't know what level of preparation y'all had, but I know the level of preparation I had in the city. You know what I mean? And I think we weren't taught a lot about like the financial tools and different
Mhm.
to put ourselves ahead, right? Like people talk about financial literacy, but very rarely do you ever hear, the present value of a dollar. That concept even
Mhm.
spoke up, right? So like people don't understand, a dollar today would be worth, more tomorrow. You know what I mean? And these different concepts and different things. I think it in the last 10 years we've started to have that conversation. But imagine having that conversation at a younger age. While we 10, 11, 12 years old, we talking
Mhm.
about accounts that we can't touch till we 18. You
Correct.
get what I'm saying? That we putting in. I think about the different movements in the streets that didn't happen down here in Miami, and everybody had their piece, right? You had the scammer, you had the drug dealers, you had the dope boys, you had the
Mhm.
scammers. They had they run.
Yeah.
So and what was bought, what was done with that? You know what I mean? Like they didn't know. And so I don't I try not to be too harsh on it,
Mhm.
but you right to a degree. When I think about everything that we have like right now, like we have all the tools and the resources, we just not
Mhm.
unified. Like there's somebody, like while we on this call, there's another live happening somewhere else in South Florida with like-minded people. We just don't communicate, or we don't even
Correct.
Mhm.
exist. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think it more so is like to talk about the issues, because everybody's dealing with housing right now.
Mhm.
Housing is a major issue, right? And
Mhm.
Mhm.
but nobody's really talking about the nitty gritty of housing, right? The real issues of housing. Like you still got a lot of felons that can't get, you know, that don't have those rights. You know what I'm saying? They
Correct.
can't move. They're naturally going to be, well, by way of the system, they're going to be homeless. You know what
Correct.
I'm
Mm.
saying? And they can't even apply to get housing, even if they can afford it. So what
Mhm.
about those people? Like it's different things that like in our neighborhood, like what are we doing to address the issues that are unique to our neighborhood? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then when opportunities are available, like how are we taking advantage of them? You know what I mean? Do we know they're available? And then once we know they're available, are we taking advantage of them? Because it's a lot of opportunities that we just simply don't take advantage of. You know what I mean? We have a lot of access. There are a lot of programs I can speak to Miami-Dade County that are specifically for Black folk, and we don't tap into them. So you know what I mean? Like I'm always one of the people who like I know there's the other side, and we just don't tap into it. It's dollars that's there for us. Like MD on the issue of MD, we talk about their first time home buyer program. They had when we had Trapping Ain't Dead, we talked about how they had millions of dollars in down payment assistance for Black folks that was untapped, and they couldn't get it to Black folks. You know what I'm saying? You know, for whatever reason, and so we're not. I just think that we only given my theory is we only given government economics 6 months out of like 3 months out of like your last semester, right, in high school. So it don't really like it's not a cultural thing. Civic engagement is not a cultural thing. You know what I mean? Like you know, when to my other friends, they always check in like. In real like if you're in real estate, you got a certain business journal that you're looking at, right? And the real estate market is affected by the interest rates and the mortgage rates around the country. So they're always looking at like Bloomberg and stuff like that. Like we're not like looking at the how they're interconnected. You know what I mean? And like we're not looking at that a lot of times. And we'll sit up here and say, what happens, the presidential or the local is more important. All of it is important to me because that interest rate going up. We felt it when you went back to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? So like you know what I'm saying? Like it's like one of those things. Like as much as we try to act like it's not gonna be felt, like the decisions these people make every day is not gonna be felt. It's gonna be felt in one way or another. Like gas prices, groceries, like it's all, you know what I'm saying? So we got to start looking at that and saying what's in it for us, like for Black folk. You know what I mean? Like when we go to these politicians or when we got like these state races, they literally split up like year after year. They gerrymander districts. You know what I'm saying? Specifically to cut out Black folk, just so they can say, "Well, I don't have that many Black folk in my district," or it's a small percentage, and they're split up. They'll take like what they did in Orlando to the I-4 corridor, like that. They split up that whole political, like they split up all the district maps, the state maps. They split all that stuff up so that Blacks couldn't have no control. You feel me?
Wow.
And then you wonder why the same politicians run year after year. It's because it's technically a new district. So they keep, you know what I'm saying? And then we're in this cycle of like we get the same old people and nobody else is stepping up. You know what I mean? Because we not raising, like I say, the activists got to start saying, "Nah, we got to play this game. We can't sit on the sideline and say, all right, we out of it,' and point the finger at the people in the game." You know what I mean? Like at some point somebody got to step in that seat, and that's why like we look at somebody like the mayor, Danielle Levine Carver, like she came from that world. You know what I mean? She know innately what was going on, what the issues are, but when she get behind the seat, it's a whole list of slew of other stuff she got to deal with. You know what I mean? And how are we supporting her? You know what I mean? How are we supporting I look at Gant, right? As much as people had they issues with Gant and Bush and Roy, like I know that no matter what, if it's an event happening for my people in my community, I'm gonna see Bush and Roy. Can't take that away from them. I don't care what nobody say. Say what you want about James Bush. Say what you want about Roy Hardiman. But when it come down to when you need something, they gonna find something for you. You know what I mean? Outside of the seat that they're in. And that means more to a lot of people than a person that sat in the seat and then you don't see him. You know what I mean? And that's not just the Gant. I'm not saying that Gant's that way. But I was just saying that's the thing. Like, we need people who outside of politics in these elections, like what are we doing 365 to move our communities forward? Like we shouldn't be
Mm.
dictated by these political races. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like we should be dictating these political races.
correct,
Agreed.
Exactly.
A
correct.
lot of people say that we should run more activists, like more of the activists who are out here should run. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know, like, if you know who Marcel Dixon is, he's a candidate up in North Carolina that they were going to put up against Clyburn. You know what I'm saying? And he comes from the reparations movement, and so that's, they're going to run him again, but that's a strategy that we may want to employ. Some of the actual activists may be getting
Most of them
involved
don't want,
directly.
most of them, including myself, we don't want that seat. You know, like I'm
I
just
mean,
being
I
honest.
get
Like,
it, but
and that's why I brought it up, because I know at some point we gotta sit in those seats, because you know what I'm saying. Like
that's
we
my
can't
point.
keep getting the same old people. You know what I mean?
I'm. I feel you, bunch. I'm trying to avoid the seats. I've been
Yeah,
hearing
like
people telling me, cause me. Look, I know you
And
much.
pay me to run, and I've been asked.
I,
I'm like,
I
I
know
don't
you
give a
much,
fuck.
and
Y'all ain't.
I know Munch can do the job, but the problem is, just like Munch and me, we're more powerful getting the mindset of the people that can go and run those seats. You get what I'm saying? So we're more powerful outside of the seats than actually being in the seat. You get what I'm saying? Because Munch can go ahead and program 50 more people to be like Munch versus Munch being in that seat. And now he's occupied by everything, the people, the political agendas, the outside people hating and tarnishing his name. It's just too much for him to do all of that and still be the Munch that he is. So that's what I get. I get the rift and I get the power struggle because I hear it all the time. But I always tell people, I said, man, I could be more effective outside of that seat than in the seat. I want to get the people that really want to be in the seat, but really need the information to really be powerful enough to drive it where we need to be. So
I
that's
hear
my.
you, brother. I hear you. And I,
Mhm.
I understand where you're coming from, but bruh, it's gonna have to happen.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? At some point, it's gonna have to happen. Somebody in the chat asked earlier too, um, why is it that we can't get some of these ideas on a
And I was just gonna
national
come to that.
on
I
a
think it
national
is
stage?
money. Yeah.
And I just want to speak to that. One of the reasons why we can't get these platforms on a major platform, these ideas on a major platform, is because of the gatekeepers in the so-called black media. They hear our concerns, but they have their talking points and they get their marching orders from the Democrats. They get their marching orders from the establishment. So we can, like there was a major rally in DC this year. There were damn near 8,000 people there. They estimate between 8 and 10,000 people at the rally for reparations. That is something
Mm.
that a lot of black people are pushing for. You haven't heard a peep about it from any of these so-called black media outlets, because the Democrats are not greenlighting it for them to talk about that.
Are
You
they
understand
black
what
or
I'm
black
saying?
owned? Because
are
there's a
Huh?
they black
difference.
or black or
Are
black?
they black or black owned? Because Breakfast
Well,
Club is black
that's
media,
why I
but
say
they
black.
black owned.
Right. That's why I
Yeah,
say black. They're not really black.
Mm,
They're not black owned. But these are
mhm.
the people that we have, in on the major platforms that the gentleman or the lady spoke of in the comments. We don't own, black people don't own any black owned media that's a major platform. That's the problem. And so when we voice our concerns, they have to be filtered through these fake ass gatekeepers. You understand what I'm saying? And by the time it gets out to the public, we're talking about a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with what black people are concerned with.
Mm.
That's the issue, and I see it all the time. They're not talking about, it's very easy stuff. Reparations, sure, absolutely. That's an easy one. Federal hate crime legislation for us specifically. It's glaring. Who can't figure out that that's something that black people need? Nobody's talking about that.
I think a lot of times we're out of sync too, right?
Mhm.
So
Okay.
like that federal hate crime should have we should have mobilized everybody, and I'm saying this in hindsight. We
Mhm.
should have mobilized everybody around the federal hate crime bill when George after that whole thing with George Floyd.
Correct.
Agreed.
Definitely.
Right?
That
So
it
Correct.
seems
now
so
I'm just
easy.
not hearing about it. That low, that's the plan. We trying to get a federal hate. I'm like, well, we 4 years down the line. Why we couldn't get it right there and
Correct.
there?
Correct.
When Black Lives Matter raised what $90 million and all that
Yeah.
shit, like, why? Where was the money in the importance or the priority to do it then? Why we
Correct.
always gotta wait? You know what I
We
Correct.
mean?
should.
On the
Right.
issue of like reparations, you know what I'm saying? I know, I did that work on behalf of Cobra years ago, right? And like we still not getting it passed because of technicalities, a nation state. How do they define who they go, the African descendants of slaves, all that different stuff, like, you know what I mean? Like, we got so many, like, we don't even know how many people, like, the reparations thing is a complicated issue, you know what I
It
mean?
is.
Mhm.
And not to say that we shouldn't get our just due, but
Right.
I think at this rate we gotta figure out a way, because they not gonna outright give us the money. They done clearly shown they not gonna give us the money. So what type of plan can we come up with that's an equivalent? You get what I'm saying? How do we
Well,
start to divest and extract these county budgets? How do we start to go into these state budgets? Like, I just took a trip through Florida, and when you look at white historic preservation money or efforts, and you look at black historic preservation efforts, it's like night and day. You know
Mhm.
what I'm
right.
saying? You go to Orlando, you go to Wells Built Museum, um, you go to American Beach Museum, you go to these different museums around Florida, and you look at the funding. They're nice. Don't get me wrong. Some of them are nice. Some of them held up a little bit better than others, but the fund is not consistent. You go to these other places, and white-owned establishments, and they're there. So we just need to start to put together, like Fatia said earlier, is we can do those things ourselves. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? The
Mhm.
politics, and when we talk about having more power outside, I think like we need to start saying, all right, the state has X amount of dollars for historic preservation. All right, how can we reach out to everybody that's in Tallahassee, that's at FAM, reach out to the people at Bethune, reach out to the people that we know in Orlando, in Tampa. All right, y'all
Mhm.
got historic places y'all in y'all neighborhood. All right, we all gonna march up there. These people meet four months out of the year in the state, right? Four
Mhm.
months
Mhm.
out of the year. Pick one day, we gonna have a party. We gonna go all the way up there to the state capitol and say, we want X amount of dollars for historic preservation for our neighborhoods and our areas.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's something we could do. Like, we can organize around things that matter to us in our neighborhoods. And like, I'm just a practicality, like a practical person. Like, what
Oh
can we
yeah.
do? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Oh
these are
yeah.
some of the things that I feel like we could do. We could organize around. Like, we know our neighborhoods are being. We don't have cultural institutions that stay around for years and years and years. You feel me?
Mhm.
So we need those historical overlays. I grew up at the African Heritage Cultural Arts Center, now the
Mhm.
Marshall L.
So.
Davis, African Heritage Cultural Arts Center, right?
Mhm.
And it's been in this establishment for 50 years. I think next year it'll be 50 years. Yeah, next year I think it'll be our 50th year anniversary, right?
Mhm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So my thing on my mind is we need that historical overlay. Who I need to talk to make sure that this building ain't going nowhere,
Correct.
Right.
Mm.
that this cultural institution stays, right? Because our
Correct.
neighborhoods need the funding, one, and they need to stay in our community. This is a model that actually worked. You feel me?
Mhm.
I can name after name after name of people from the day it opened in the 75 to now that have been successful in the arts. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right.
So like, these are things that we need to, like, we know arts programming in the school. We know tech is going to take over, right? Like,
Mhm.
how active are we at the school board when they teaching, like, with the AI situation, right?
Mhm.
That happened in the schools. Like, they teaching AI, but they left it up to the teachers to basically, there was a they're rolling out how to teach, like AI in the
Mhm.
schools, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they're only trying to give the black schools, I'm just gonna say it flat out. It feels like to me, when I went to the meeting, the original town hall, they only trying to give us a surface level education of it. The
Correct.
generative AI.
Wow.
They're not trying to
Correct.
teach us how to create the algorithm for the AI. They just want to
Correct.
teach us how to use a prompt.
Correct.
You
Correct.
get what I'm saying? Now,
Mhm.
we got to be at the table to, just like the Moms of Liberty, and they got them books, man. Hey, we want AI being taught, not just the prompt stuff. We want the machine learning being taught in our schools. You feel me?
Correct.
Because it's public school, and I think we haven't been active. And I think, for whatever reason, whether it's time management or whatever, we don't make it a priority. And these are the things we need to start making a priority. We'll make. I seen parents make a priority over the school uniform, and I'm like, do you realize like that's not
Mm.
important? Like in the grand scheme of things, like they're not teaching.
Real
They
talk.
putting your kid in CSI because they wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like they
Mhm.
criminalize a hoodie, but a white kid at Columbus can wear a hoodie right now. And
Yeah.
he in the fucking private school.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we focusing on hoodies? Because if gun violence is the root of the issue, address the issue. Don't criminalize fashion. You know what I mean?
Correct.
We always want to deflect and do something on the side. Like,
Correct.
nah, dog, address the issue. And so I know I'm jumping around a lot of different places, but it's just
No,
like
no.
we're not focused on
Correct.
what the
True.
issues are, and we need to. It takes us leaders to come to the table and say, whether it's. I would like to see a 3 to 5 year strategic plan just for South
Correct.
Florida.
Correct.
You get what I'm saying?
No
That was
doubt.
my next. That was gonna be my next question because I
Yeah,
was gonna say final thoughts because I see it's 11 o'clock. I ain't even realized
Oh
that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
I know people got to work in the morning, but I wanted to know like we talked about. We know what especially I feel like us on this call and people watching like we know the issues. We're probably super voters and people who are super engaged, but who never know. We never know where the algorithm may leave this on somebody's timeline. So I wanted everybody before we like wrap up like what are some next steps for us to like get ourselves out of where we are, especially with this election that just passed. Like, what can we do to say, hey, these people just got elected, this is the plan, or this is what we could do, these are some tangible things. Like, what are y'all thoughts for the future of like how we could actually now like try to see some change? Like, and once you could finish your thought on the strategic plan, and we could jump around the
yeah.
room with it. But
I just think we need a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, not just for Miami-Dade County, but the whole South Florida,
Mhm.
specifically for Black folks. Right? Look at us compared to every other population that's here. Right? How are we going to economically move ourselves? Like, what is happening in business? What's happening um, in education? What's happening in housing, climate? Have these different data points. And strategically move like have a goal of where we want to see Black folks at. Right? Brain
So
drain.
who
It's
do
an
you
issue.
think should lead that? Because
Um,
we got it. We need that.
Yeah, truth be told, I've been pitching a lot of motherfuckers like over the years. But we need researchers. That's the main thing. The people who are good at it doesn't take, a lot of people. You just need the right necessary people. And I don't think it's just relegated to a specific organization because like I said, it always comes down to the organization and their priorities. And they may not have the priorities with the like that's we need something that's just like not attached to that. Like it's strictly for the community, you know what I mean? And for Black folk, not without any type of monetary kind of like dictation, you know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Mhm. Or
Like
restrictions.
yeah, monetary
Yeah.
restrictions, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Major, you got some final thoughts on like what we do next? What are some tangible things, solutions?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, like I said before, we need to really, really focus on it, like you say, getting having a round table of sorts. I mean, and this is of course sensitive to the community that you're in. I'm in Miramar, so I don't live in the city no more. I mean, I can go down there to show support, but I can't. I need to be in Miramar. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to tailor make a specific list of needs to where we are and just, do things that make sense. I need to be in my neighborhood and I need to tell them, hey, we need, for instance, there was a job fair here not too long ago. That's something very simple. You know what I'm saying? We can, because we have Black people, a lot of Black people who are out of work right now. Okay, let's get three items: jobs, home ownership. You know what I'm saying? What can we do to make home ownership simpler in Miramar, whatever the case may be, and something that has to do with crime. I'm just giving examples. Get a round table of people, like specific people, and assign certain tasks to those people. Like if I'm in Miramar, I'm an IT guy. I can be the person who's doing research in technology in Miramar, and I can, find out who in government in Miramar, is going to be responsible for the allocation of tech funds and where they go. This last job fair, for instance, was, something that was for tech. I can take. In fact, I was calling around asking about that. It's a little hard to get hold of some of these people, but I was calling around asking about that, like who's in charge of this, so that you can make a direct connection with the people in your community who are in charge of these types of things, and then okay, after and have some type of oversight committee. I mean, this is probably going to have to be volunteer stuff. I hate to say it like that, you know what I'm saying? But because everybody want to get paid when they start talking about work. But if we're talking about activism, your ass gonna be volunteering. You dig? That's just what it is. And I've done this before, and I'll do it again. I don't have a problem with that. Okay, let's put something in place after we've asked for the specific things for the for the jobs, job fairs, job programs, something to help with housing or whatever the case may be. After we've asked for those things, who's following up on them to make sure that not only was something done, but something was done for the people in that neighborhood. If everybody can do something like that in their neighborhood, I think you're in Miami Gardens, Janae. Anthony's in Fort Lauderdale. Munch, he's in the city, obviously. If we can, get together within to the people in our hood and put together an agenda there, and put a time frame on it, and have somebody follow up so that those people who, we holler at can be held accountable. I think that's a great start. And just, creating relationships, because a lot of us, we don't know who our councilman is. We don't know who our, who does what in our county. We don't know who the person is. So I think that going to town hall meetings and shaking a few hands and really getting educated on your respective neighborhood is a great start in that regard, because if we don't know who those people are and who to reach out to, we're kind of taking a swipe in the dark, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
if that makes
definitely.
sense.
Great, all great ideas. I think those are like you said, tangible things and things for people to start like meds and getting their juices flowing on like what they could do.
Hmm.
Um, Anthony, like, what's your thoughts?
One, we need to get rid of the old boule clique. The old niggas gotta go. Um,
That's why we here.
the old niggas gotta go. And I'm not ranking all the old folks. We do have some elders. There's a difference between an elder and an older. The olders gotta go. The elders is what we need to basically mold us and the next generation,
Yeah, they
because they
they
have great.
mentor us, give us the info.
Yes, one of the greatest movies that that displays that is Drumline, right? With Dr. Lee and Devin. You know what I'm saying? The old school structure and the new school foundation, and they got together and created a wonderful hit and got the championship. I think we need to do that with our elders and the younger generation, get together and create something so impactful for our community. The problem is we have a distance between the two, and we need to be the bridge people to get that together. And I think when we do that, it'll be definitely very impactful. So get rid of the old heads, right? All the old media and all that, man. I'm sorry to say, I don't like Roland. I don't like none of these old media heads. They do a lot of talking points, a lot of fear mongering.
Off
Replace,
with their heads.
replace. I'm gonna do the Dr. Umar. We need to replace. We need to replace. We need to replace these old heads with high-low news. With
And
I'll
high-low
take
nah,
that.
Uncle
Gang.
Roro, Uncle Roro, he be tripping sometimes, but we need him because he be trying to get the rest of the old heads in line. Like, you feel me? We
I
need
agree.
him
He do
where
be
he
tripping
at. Like,
sometimes,
he
but
was
he do
front
get some
line
good
for
points
us
out.
at NABJ, he was
Yeah.
frontline at a lot of stuff. Now, I do believe that Roe be tripping as far as like the old way, like they're used to the civil rights way,
Correct. Correct.
Yes.
right? And I
Mhm.
don't think that it's a wrong way to do that. I think we just need to recognize that black people are not a monolith, right?
Mhm.
And we do have a section of black folk who grew up in the black church, and then you got a and that's their way of life. You feel me? And we got
Yeah.
a section of folk who didn't grow up like that. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Like myself, I was a CDE member. It's Christmas Day and Easter. It's the only times it first Sunday. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I think it's just different ways to reach different people. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And Roe, we need Roe where he at. You know what I mean? Now we need him to come give us the game, right?
Yeah.
Mentor us so that we can do stuff the right way, right? Because a lot of the things I hear us
Mhm.
saying, I hear him saying, or I get it from him, right?
Yeah.
Like when we talk about black media and dollars being spent, he been on a tirade for the last at least 5 years. You know what I'm saying
Yeah.
by that?
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Mhm.
so he been saying y'all ain't spending money with black folk, and y'all wonder why this happening. So,
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
you think about platforms, major platforms, he has quote unquote a major platform at this point. As much as he an old head, but he got a platform, and he been telling all the other old heads,
Mhm.
hey man, y'all get off the slave ship. Come on,
Mhm. Mhm.
Agreed.
come build a platform like I did. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
that's my only thing on Uncle Roe. That's my only thing.
My
I
thing
agree
is,
with
I want to
Roll.
see Hilo. I want to see Hilo News be up on that level, on that notoriety, because I feel like
I
as
appreciate
much
that. Thank
as
you.
as much as you can say some things, because it's a broken clock moment with Ro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. There's some broken clock moments with Ro. There's some things he say, like you say, he be listening to the new media and take some things and run with it. But it's cool. But I feel like Hilo News. The reason why I love Hilo News so much is that Hilo News gives you the raw. It's not biased. We ain't out here pointing and fear mongering. We're telling you what needs to be done. And we want to come together with the people that's like-minded enough to understand that this platform has the information and we're going to put you in the right position to get there. And I think that is so powerful that, on a grassroots level, but we want to get the grassroots on the national level, like how he got it. You know what I'm saying? And that's my thing. You know what I'm saying? That's
That's
what I
the
would
hard
love to
part.
see.
Well,
Um,
we need well since I ain't no IT, I'm a techie, but I ain't no I my formal.
yeah.
Since we on the call, fuck it. Major J, since you're in IT, I don't know what part of IT. We need to make sure that Hilo News gets an OTT app by the end of the year. Okay.
Okay.
That's
I'm
your
in
mission.
QA and testing. I'm in software testing, so I can test it. You know what I'm saying? Like I can make sure it's working right. I don't build it. I'm not a programmer, but I can make
Exactly.
sure it's working
That's
right,
why I
and
asked.
I'll do it on the house.
We're gonna
No
find some
I,
pressure.
programmers. That's our mission. We're
We just
gonna
need
find
some
some programmers
programmers. That's
to
all.
get up there.
Yeah, we
That's
need a
all
I want
it
developer to
is.
do that. Well,
I
that's
do
the
want to
thing.
I do want to say before we get out of
Go
here,
ahead.
because I know we gotta go, but I do want to say that I love the fact that Janae is going to do and start that whole progress report. We do need progress reports and we do need information on what these politicians are doing in the seat. If they're having issues, the quarterly progress reports will let you know who's blocking what, who's doing what, who's not doing what. So that way, by the time we get to the 4-year term or the 2-year term, we're not waiting at the last minute to sit there and guess who we need to bubble in or getting a comp card from somebody to at the last minute to bubble in somebody that ain't doing the work based on name recognition or just being in the seat for a long time. So I
Mm,
think that will be so impactful once she gets that rolling. I'll be up in Tampa and like I said, I'm about to launch my political platform, Politically Dope 2025. And I want to do the same thing up in that area. I think we also need to do an underground media railroad and an underground activist and leadership railroad that we can get the information passed not only from Florida, but also to the various states around. We need to be more unified on a national level so we can get the correct information out to the people. So
mm.
definitely those are my 2 points. And I definitely land with that. and you could take it on from there, Janae.
I love it. First of all, you saying Tampa Bay because somebody hit us up about expanding to Tampa, so we may need to talk, Anthony, and see what that
Okay.
could look like. But for me, what I think the community needs to do or some things that we could do. I think we kind of got to, for me, I view it even a step before a lot of the things that you guys said. I think there needs to be an education component so that like much I think it was you who said like the culture of like civic engagement and being involved in your government and politics. It's not something that we have, and unless you grew up with it or came to had your come to Jesus moment for you to be engaged with it like a lot everybody here on this call, it's just not a cultural thing for you. It's not an urgent thing for you. And so I think that there needs to be, taken from the model of the Black Panthers, like those schools they had, the way they were
Mm,
giving it to the community, give people information. I think we need to start with organizations, a coalition of organizations being able to educate our community. And I think we need to really, really tap into the power of technology.
mm,
Education could look like all of us coming on here and say, today we're going to tell you how to get a bill passed in the state of Florida. Or we're going to tell you if you got issues with your lights. Cities, for the most part, work the same way. So you got street light issues. This is what it is. And so I think we need to figure out how we can identify organizations that can get information and share information with the audience and do it digitally so that it's open for everybody. But we tailor that information to be Black as fuck. And I
mm,
and I think once we are able to educate people on the process, I think it's easier then to say, hey, be civically engaged. Hey, we need a strategic plan because now they understand the importance of it. I think before, like for me, it was a cultural thing in my house, seeing my grandma walk to the polls, seeing my mama walk to the polls. So in my mind, I was like, this is something I should be doing. Like I have to be a super voter. I heard them talking about like they work for the hospitals, Jackson and Parkway. So they understood that whoever got voted for county or city affected their jobs and they were union workers. And so for me, I grew up seeing that. So for in my mind, it's like I feel sick if I can't vote. Like there's no not voting for me in every election. Like I'm mailing in the ballot. If I gotta, whatever, leave a trip early, like there is nothing, especially in the last probably 10 years, I voted in every election. Like there is
mm,
no non-voting, but that's because I just know the importance of it. And I'm pretty sure all of us on this call. So we got to be able to get them, we got to get our community educated on the process, become a culture. And I think then now we can create different programming, different tiers to it. And I also think too, it needs to look like a I think there's levels to it. And even to wrap in the point about Roland, Hollow News is very local. I'm not trying to be a Roland Martin. Like our issues have to stay local because if I start talking about the things Roland talking about, then who gonna cover Juice to Find grand opening of her 10th, 11th, 20th restaurant? Who gonna talk
mm,
about a policy with Virginia Key Beach and they closing? Like if I leave that void, who's gonna do it? And legacy Black owned media, unfortunately, they tripping right now. So I don't know what's going on with them. And
what-
that's the role they played in the past. And so I think it's levels to it in the sense of we have this beginner course of like information. I think organizations are already doing it. They need to figure out a way to come together so that they
mm,
could get the information out there. Then I think for the people who I call like master's degrees, people like us, like we the new adults. So essentially, real talk, all of us on this call could have said, okay, what's the three things that we want to see? What's the three things that we identified? This is the new agenda, and let's try to get as many people as possible to rally behind us. So I think it's also two levels to it because I think sometimes we get so stuck in that like the first level of things, and then you got other people who've been doing this for so long. It's like I don't need to really tap into that. I don't need an education on civic engagement because I already know what to do. Like I've been doing this. What is it there for me to be engaged with? And so I think that honestly it's us. I think it's people like us on this call saying that we are going to like take it by the bull by the horn, so to speak. I get it.
mm,
It's tiring. Like I've texted a couple of y'all offline saying, hey, I'm trying to figure out something to do with these Zoom calls and how we could tap into it for Florida millennials. And I remember one person was like, man, I'm tired. Like we've been fighting, ain't shit gonna change in Florida. And I get why they saying that, but I'm
mm,
like, we the new adults, like really. And unfortunately, I feel like this I could guarantee you, if all of us on this call was like, yo, this is what we're gonna do, I could promise you NAACP, Urban League, all these elected officials, they gonna start tapping in because they're gonna say, what the F are they doing over there?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I get we all tired though. I get we all tired. And I want to do a civics segment or something on High Low News. It's capacity
Yeah.
uh fatigue. Like me and Munch were trying to do it with Trapping Ain't Dead. It's like capacity and funding, like to
Even
break
even
that stuff down and make sure you fact checked and everything, because I can't be loose with that information because that's affecting people real life. And so I got to make sure you a journalist that's trained and know how to do everything that you need to do, and that costs money. And
Yeah.
so I think we could do it. I just think it's really going to start with people like us saying, okay, can we just start at the what's the easiest way for
yeah,
us to get the
I
thing
thought
going?
I thought, before we get off, I thought we was gonna do the Zoom call. I know you hit me up about it.
Mm,
I was kind of like waiting on the Zoom call to happen. We tried to do this thing with the newsroom, and I kind of had to put that on hold because I got some other priorities. But
mm,
all these initiatives, like even when we had Life Collective back in the day, you know what I mean? Like,
mhm.
Life, that's how I met Anthony. Like,
yeah,
was it Life Collective, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, I
We
believe
were,
so.
but I think about the magic that we had, and I'm like, that was my mindset behind that Zoom call. And here's the tea. I'll give the news. Peak Papa Keith and I are gonna do it with our first episode back for for that part podcast. So instead of doing the episode, we're gonna turn that into that. And so we're gonna do it, and the date is September 11th. I'll make
Mm,
sure all of y'all get the information. I would love everybody on this call to be on and come and do, but we said we'll do it that way. That since that was a time that we already had scheduled, and just use
mm,
one of our episodes to do like the Zoom call for millennials and do like this open call. But yeah, I
Yeah, I think
that
y'all should segment it and start, and then put people together. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm, mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's it's the thing is this, and also too with the culture thing. That's why I said
The
we got to educate them because they got to understand. Like Major was saying, it was like it's a lot of volunteer work. It's a lot of tired. Sometimes you get the person that you supporting ain't don't win, and it feels disappointing. And I think that also too makes people snap out of the process. And it's like it's really kind of like a game. And I was talking to Dwight Bullard about I wanted to this year, and I didn't have the chance to do it. I wanted to like create a group almost of like us, even if it was small dollar amounts, to be like, hey, let's choose different candidates to support and like do it. He likened it to what's the stuff y'all do with the football? Like a fantasy league.
fantasy.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Yes,
yeah.
and he was like, you should get your friends to do it like a fantasy league and say like, okay, this is the
That's
person that we
deep.
rooting for this time. And I wanted to do that, but like I said, capacity and putting all that together is a lot. But I think
Yeah.
that if we start identifying like key people, like I think Munch was saying, if this person does get out the vote, this person works with returning citizens, this person work with the homeless, this person could get funding and grants. Like we have to figure out how to do some more coalition building because to me, I'm frustrated that we don't have a Project 2025 version for Black people. And I'm mad at our
Mhm,
elders that all those people, because that
mhm,
was a coalition of, I heard it was like 100 organizations or something crazy
mhm.
like that, that came together and said, this is the plan that we want for white people. Like, and I'm like, why we ain't coming together and saying this is the plan we want for Black people? And they literally have already started this plan.
Yeah, and we
We
can't.
Yeah.
just finding out about it.
Yeah,
Our priorities ain't
they've,
there.
they've been rolling since the '80s on a lot of policies. They literally, these are all old policies that have worked, or strategies that have worked for them. They
Mm,
compiled, and then they went back, and then they've been at this since Obama was in office, where they
yeah.
literally met every week.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Mm,
So think
It was
about that.
big.
Obama was in office. What, last time we seen him in office was what, 2012, 2016, something like that. 2012.
2016.
2016.
That was,
2016.
2016.
you
Yeah,
get what I'm
16.
saying? Because he came in what, '08, he left in
Oh, wait.
16.
Yeah.
So you figure, dog, it's been what,
Eight
being
years.
24 now, so it's been
16.
8 years since.
Yeah.
And
And,
and so they had this plan 10 years and almost 10 years and running. Come on.
yeah.
Even before that, like some of these things date back to when Bush was in office,
No,
and
that's what I'm saying.
the
They
neocons were trying to pass this shit on him, and he wouldn't let them.
exactly. And this is all old stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's why I say we got to be up on like that. That's why the education piece is so important. So we know the play. You know, a lot of redevelopment is patterns. A lot of things that happen is patterns, bro. Like,
Mm.
you know what I mean? Like patterns
It's,
and schemes. That's all it is, and it
yep.
happens just in cycles. You know.
But I
Mhm.
would say, like with Munch, what Munch said earlier about we need to get together and be organized and go up to the state capitol, because remember when the Parkland situation came out, this is the reason why we having people right now that are up in raw, because they having metal detectors in their school. These
They
people don't went
said
up there
nothing.
and did all what they wanted. You feel me? That's crazy. But you can
They
go
they
out there and spend it.
they said nothing. It wasn't a problem until the metal detectors came, and now everybody
Exactly.
mad.
Mm.
Some people
But
got it.
that was Parkland happened what year? 27. Well, no, it wasn't 17.
It
That
was
was
That
what?
was 17
That
or
was
18?
2017,
17,
18
I think.
February.
18.
Yeah.
We did March for Our Lives with them kids 2019.
Mm-hmm.
They got you see how long it take policy to go through. Them Parkland people stayed at it until they got something. You know how
Mm-hmm.
you know, like when Denzel Washington say, "I'm leaving here with
It
something."
was something.
I'm from out
Yeah.
the way. I'm leaving here with something. Parkland, we need to pay attention to the Parkland people.
Exactly.
Y'all didn't want to. Y'all, they got Robert Runcie. You can argue Robert Runcie is out of there.
Yep. Exactly.
What's
Yeah.
the sheriff name? That's he in Opelika now.
Oh, that was
Oh,
the
The
white
white
dude.
guy,
Gosh, jeez, I forgot his
Scott
name.
Israel,
Yeah, Israel.
yes,
Yeah.
Scott
out of there.
Yeah.
Israel.
Out
They
of there.
got
They got him
Israel
in the
up.
middle of Opelika right now. You feel me?
Mhm.
Like out of there. You feel me?
That's crazy. He went from the county to Opelika.
Uh,
You feel
they
me?
don't play.
Like
They don't
I'm
play. You
leaving
the
here with
man.
something.
When you
I'm
leave,
leaving here with something.
yes, when you about
Them
business and
people
standing
thought
on business, you
them
get shit
people.
done.
I'm with Zakia. We got selective outrage, but that's why I'm pointing these things out to let people know how long it happened in 2017. You got metal detectors. You can honestly say it was because of them. You got
Yep.
metal detectors in 2024.
Yep.
7 years passed. We got, we got a problem with something. We gonna fuss about it for a day on social media. It may
That's
get
the
linger
thing.
on a little bit longer, and then after that, we don't talk about it no more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We
Our
twerk, we
priorities out of
we
whack.
twerking, we
Them
twerking and cha cha
seven
slide.
years, dog. 7 years. That's
But
all I'm
but
gonna
the thing
say. 7 years,
the
dog.
key is this: the power is in our hands. It may take a long time to change it, but we could literally say we don't want our policy to work this way. We don't want it to be this slow. But we ain't we
Mhm.
the type of organization it would take to change policy on that level would take fucking Jesus and two more white men to be able
And, 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 and
to
truth
get
be
that
told,
We
going
used to
like
be
that.
like that though.
But
we
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 used to be
could,
Strong
but
like
Honda.
that.
but we could literally change the process of how slow it takes. Like, but people don't realize like the power is really in our hands. But we gotta stay the course because it's
Correct.
not a fast process.
it's not a fast process. Like I was around for V, and then I say this, and we can go. But V
Yeah.
did pass Dignity Florida, right? V was
Mm-hmm.
V and Trey for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
more Trey than V, but
Mm-hmm.
that was Dignity Florida. So if you don't know Dignity Florida, I don't know if y'all remember that.
Yeah.
There
Of
was
course.
feminine hygiene
Vaguely,
products
yeah,
and
the hygiene
he
products
that
in
was
jail,
happening,
right?
right? So they were
Mm-hmm.
able to pass legislation. Now it took some time for them to pass that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I'm talking about like a year, 2 years time. But they were strategically able to change to actually get it passed and get it amended, right? So the next
Mm-hmm.
following year, the lady had a baby in jail, right? They
Mm-hmm.
went up there with her with the more legislation added on
Mm-hmm.
to that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about Amendment 4 with the felons. The problem was there was no follow up with the felons. So that's
Mm-hmm.
when they was able to go and go strip their rights away, right back away from them. So
Yeah.
we have to
Mm,
get them, educate people in the mindset of, all right, this is the process of how we gonna pass this bill. But once we pass this bill, you best believe they're gonna try to fight it or amend it or do things to try to change the bill. Just like we talk about
Mm-hmm.
Roe v. Wade, we talk about all these different legislations that the federal legislation, state legislation that have happened over time and that get overturned. And
Mm-hmm.
we have to stay the course and be focused. And that's why I say a 3 to 5 year strategic plan, knowing what everything is. But like you said, the education piece definitely got to come first.
And I think
Definitely.
in that plan as well, just as Black people, and we talked about reparations. I was watching something recently about I think it was a documentary called The Black Barber of Little Rock. But it was like talking about how a highway decimated their area, and it reminded me of what happened here in Miami. And
All the
they
time.
mentioned something about like how we're in a country that just never paid us back. We were promised 40 acres in a mule, and we never got any type of repayment or atonement or anything. And I think that mental health needs to be also to a major part in any education that we do if we're going to do this process, because there's a lot of hurt and trauma that I feel like the United States as a country, and in every state, that had segregation to slavery, Jim Crow, they have not atoned for. And so
Mhm.
I think when you start really digging into policy and understanding history, like what's the James Baldwin quote? Like you're in a state of rage. A lot, like
Yeah,
I have to kind of sometimes come back and get out of the shit, because I'm like, I'll just be angry all the time, because I'm like, slavery really happened and nothing, they just let us go. They didn't do anything to atone for it. And I think that a part of that process, as we start educating our people on the process, um I think anger is powerful when it's directed properly, but I think we also need to have like a healing within ourselves as a community, and have that a part of our educational process as we start doing these civic classes or whatever that looks like, because I think that's also a part of the issue too of our apathy, and why we're not in it. We're so bogged down by all the bullshit that the vestiges of slavery, that we can't really get into the civic process. And I think that's by design. I think they want us tired, they want us killing each other, they want us uh, you know single parents and no men and no male leadership. They want us to have all these issues, so we're distracted from their projects 2025s.
exactly. To be a
Well said.
Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in rage almost all the time. James
That's
Bond.
real.
That's
That's
for
real.
real.
You ain't
All
told
right.
no lie. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
appreciate this tonight. I really do appreciate the invite, man. It's always great to have so much people that I admire, especially on the platform with, man. So I appreciate the invite, and I appreciate all y'all for joining in and giving our people such valuable information and nuggets that they can carry on and even instill in their children to make ourselves and our community better. Much love.
Man, thank you. Everybody Munch, Major, Gage, can you guys give people your social, how they could follow you?
I'll let Major go first. I've been talking all day.
Yeah, yeah. You can get me at MG underscore ManVersations 2020 underscore podcast on my personal page, and youtube.com/ at ManVersations 2020, where me, Anthony, and Bobby get it in every week. ManVersations
And
2020. And
let me share.
shout out to High Low News on some real shit. You dig? Y'all go ahead, keep banging out.
Um,
Yay.
ManVersations 2020, more empowerment radio on IG. ManVersations 2020 on all platforms. We're on there. And more empowerment radio on IG if you need to get to me personally. All right.
Munch.
Machiavelli underscore Munch. Um, all Like Minds Media. You can follow them too. It's on all platforms. All Like Minds Media. All Like Minds. Roots
And
Collective, Village Fridge.
oh yes.
You know.
All right.
So yeah, I'm everywhere.
Shout out, please, please. Can I get this in? Shout out,
Yes.
rest in power to Danny Agnew, man. We
Mm,
miss you. We love you, man. I really, really miss that brother so bad, man. So I
Rest
definitely
in
want to
power.
give that
rest
rest
in
and power
power.
to my brother out there, man. Keep watching over us and keep instructing us and guiding us, man, because we definitely need it.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. To the yeah. Don't make me tear up, because I was thinking about Danny recently. Um, Thank you guys. Thank you for this space. Thank you for being leaders. Thank you for being men, men, like the man. Like I love the leadership and the energy, the space, the safe space that y'all provided. I've been on platforms and even on a digital setting, I felt you could feel the disrespect or like the belittling. And so I appreciate y'all just for that. I want to say that publicly, just as men, for y'all allowing me to share this space with y'all and feel respected and loved and and much off screen, y'all, my brothers in real life. So I appreciate that. And major thank you for this. I want to say that publicly.
Appreciate
So
you.
yes, appreciate y'all. We will do this again. Fatia, I hear you. Juice Define, we'll figure out how to do this again, a civics class or something. We could figure out and how to also to combine everybody's platforms because StreamYard allows you to go so that we could reach more people. But you guys could follow me, Hilo News, HYLONEWS. We're on all platforms. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button. Also, too, hit that like and subscribe button for ManVersations 2020 if you're watching on their page. Also, too, if you're watching from either one of our platforms, there is links or our websites in the description button for you guys to follow us. But man, I want to thank y'all again for this conversation. It was good. Thank you for this recap of the 2024 Florida primary elections. We're gonna have to do this again in November, definitely, because I know that's gonna
Yeah,
be a
Oh
whole
man.
movie in
gonna be
itself.
lit.
But
Oh man.
I'm gonna be hitting y'all up. Anthony, can you connect me with Major Gay so I can make sure he
Oh
for
yeah,
the Zoom call that I'm gonna do with Papa Keith. I'm gonna
I
send
got
y'all
you.
all the information so y'all could be a part of that because I think this energy here needs to be brought over there. But thank y'all
I,
so
I want
much.
I want to extend our closing. What we say when we close out the night.
Yes,
Remember
let's
to
do it
tell
that
a
way.
friend. To remember, tell a friend to tell a friend. High Low News. Remember that. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Like, subscribe, follow High Low News. We got to get this platform on that next plateau, man. And it starts with y'all. All right?
All right,
Peace.
thank
Dang.
y'all. Good
Hey,
night.
and
I ain't even
real
gonna do our
quick, real
what.
quick before you close out, I gotta send the love back. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to you, Janae, for being a knowledgeable, informed, and
Man.
respectful queen and carrying yourself with such dignity and like just being razor sharp. We appreciate that. I
Mm.
just wanted to say that publicly. That is so dope. I love to see sisters do that. And this whole creating this whole intellectual space. You understand what I'm saying? Where you got strong, capable, competent black folks. I'm just saying.
That part. We could end it on that. I ain't even gonna do our regular outro because this is a
All
combination.
right.
We just gonna do it. We just gonna end the live. Good night, y'all. I
All
love
right.
y'all. Thank y'all. Good night, black
Blessings.
people.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey.